This week on 4K Kings, we'll be discussing The Witch, Watchmen, Candyman, Wild Things, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Escape from New York, and Night of the Hunter.
And we're back. Welcome to another week. 4K Kings, Blue News and Reviews. I'm Matt.
I'm Russ.
Russ, welcome back. Nice to see you again for another week.
Nice to see you as well, Matt.
Another jam-packed week, in fact.
This was a big one.
This is a extremely big week. We actually came back a week early just to kind of cover the plethora, the slew of titles that just came pouring out after we had stopped recording last week, which last week, not too many big high-profile things came out. We covered kind of a small smidge of interesting titles that we thought were pretty good, but then, man, we got smacked in the ass right after that with a bunch of new ones.
That we did.
If you are new, welcome. This is 4K Kings, Blue News and Reviews, where we are covering physical media.
Make sure you subscribe. Leave some comments. Reach out to us. We love our subscribers.
We do. We love all of you. We're fighting for each and every one of you every single day, trying to bring you the best in physical media news and sometimes filthy movie reactions, which we just put up our very first movie reaction. I guess we've done a couple trailer reactions, which I know a lot of people loved, but we decided to do a Serbian film, a film reaction there, which we just posted today, in fact.
Arguably one of the most influential films of the 20th century. 21st century? What century is this, man?
It's like the 23rd or 4th, but for people that haven't seen that clip yet, go check it out. But Russ, no spoilers. How did you feel about watching a Serbian film for the first time? No spoilers.
No spoilers. Mixed.
So
mixed.
Well,
a very passionate mixed.
I'll
say that.
Well, it was fun and exciting, and I hope that everyone enjoyed it. And like I said, it's posted now. For everybody that's listening on Spotify, come check us out on our YouTube channel. If you are watching us on our YouTube channel, come check out our Spotify and listen to us in the car and hear all of our thoughts and opinions on physical media news that way, if you'd like. So this week we're going to be talking about, like I mentioned, a ton of stuff. A ton of stuff like The Witch in 4K was just announced by Second Sight. We'll be talking about that. We're going to be talking about a bunch of Arrow stuff that was announced, like Wild Things, Candyman, a new Titans Occult, which we just said in our last episode, like, where the hell are they? And they just came right back like a day after with an announcement that they're going to be doing the Watchmen. And then also some Turbine Media Germany releases like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And they're also doing Candyman too. Shout Factory also just like dropped a bomb the other day too with like a ton of stuff.
They dropped Candyman as well.
Yeah, they did. So there's a lot of stuff coming out from a lot of different studios. We're going to be trying to cover as much as we possibly can of all of it, and then a little bit more. So stay tuned. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. But before we jump into any news, Russ, I don't know if you were aware, but this Friday, because I kind of lost track, to be honest, because I've seen promotional stuff for this for a really long time. I don't even know when the Batman was supposed to come out, but turns out it comes out on Friday. And the only reason I know that is because 2 days ago, reviews started finally like showing up online. And I decided to start reading them just because I was curious from the get-go with the trailers. Like, is this a joke? Is it good? What are people going to say? What's the direction it's taking? All that kind of stuff. And
I'm going to guess brooding.
You're definitely going to be accurate on the brooding.
No way, really?
Tons of brooding.
Batman movie?
Tons of
brooding. I thought this
brooding.
was the one that was going to reinvent all the 12 other films we've had in the past.
No,
5 years.
Extra brooding, in fact. And apparently the brooding transcends not just the Batman character, but also Bruce Wayne himself, whether he's with Alfred, whether he's with his friends, or not friends, but colleagues, people at Bruce Manor, like Wayne Industries, Wayne Manor, all that kind of stuff, whether he's kind of, he's just always brooding. Like,
Luscious Fox.
Luscious. Yes, brooding with him. So there's that. But the reviews are actually pretty good. I mean, they're coming in pretty good. They're praising a lot of the, obviously the side characters as well as Robert Pattinson himself. The one thing that I've seen some people divided on is the length. It's nearly 3 hours apparently, which
too short.
I could leave that also. I mean, I think the longest Christopher Nolan Batman was like 235, maybe 240. I want to say that was the last one. This one's clocking in closer to 3. So I don't know. I think that's kind of a bummer. But I don't know. Apparently, it's energetic. It's lively. It's not reinventing anything. No one's like making that claim. But everything that they're doing works. It's supposed to be like a combination of L.A. Confidential and Seven. I picked up on the Seven thing like right away from the trailer. I mean, that was pretty obvious what they were doing. Zodiac Killer, Seven. It looked very familiar. But the whole L.A. Confidential thing kind of has me curious as far as there's
a big shootout at the end,
detective story rather than just action and gadgets and stuff. I don't know. What do you think? You're not going to see it no matter what. Is that right? Tell me how you really feel.
It could be a great movie. It could be a good movie. I don't see it being anything different than what Nolan did.
In what way? Like you just think it's going to be a serious
in taking a classic crime film from the 90s and updating it.
Kind of like
Batman
Joker.
Characters.
Kind of like Joker with Taxi Driver, that kind of thing, like taking just some classic movie.
That was at least a little more inspired, and Todd Phillips had something to say about the state of films. But no, I mean, if you watch The Dark Knight, everyone involved, Nolan himself, they basically remade Heat, a crime film from 1995.
Yep.
And now if these early reviews for this new one are saying, hey, it's just like Seven, a crime film from 1995. I don't know. To me, this is just paint by numbers filmmaking. You just insert comic book characters into serious films of the past. And that just depresses me, honestly.
Yeah.
It depresses me. It depresses me that modern adult audiences cannot sit through a film like Seven or Heat unless there's capes involved.
Well,
and that has nothing to do, this is just a personal preference. This has nothing to do with how well made this Batman film may be, but it could be Citizen Kane and it wouldn't impress me at this point. I just feel like I'm burnt out.
You've seen Batman.
I've seen Batman over and over and over again. There's not much to that character on screen. In the comics, I feel like you could do a lot more. On screen, it's just parents die, brood, put on a suit, barely talk. How many variations can you do of that? That is why for damn near every Batman film incarnation that exists that is celebrated, it's usually the villains who elevate it, which I'm sure this one does too, because they know that. We've had countless examples previously. Like I said, it's not so much that I think it's going to be a bad movie. I am just fatigued on it.
Is there anything that anyone could do to a Batman story that would make you want to see it again? Or is it pretty much just, you've seen it plenty, you get it at this point? Just a break?
A break.
Yeah.
I need that long, I maybe not even a long break. I need like that break that Joel Schumacher, in between Joel Schumacher and Christopher Nolan. I just need a break where I know no Batman movies are coming on the horizon, nothing, some time passes by. So maybe a new filmmaker will have a vision. But right now, they are all just being held, honestly, to Christopher Nolan's standard. Even this one. I feel like this would not exist if Christopher Nolan's trilogy didn't exist.
Yeah, I think you're right, where like the difference in tone and style from Joel Schumacher to Nolan was obviously here, whereas this one's probably more like here. It's like it's Nolan and this guy a little bit, but the difference isn't enough to where, like you said, It's like I'm ready and hungry for this new thing.
I'm not at all. Yeah. That's the problem. And it could be good. It could be a very good movie. I'm a fan of a lot of people involved within it.
Yeah, and
it's like I said though, same thing, man. I could be wrong. But yeah, I'm not interested enough to check it out.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you're getting the break because obviously this one's going to do phenomenally well, especially since the reviews are like great already, which means there'll be another trilogy with Robert Pattinson, and that'll just be our reality for the next few years.
I don't have anything against Robert Pattinson. No. I like him.
He's good.
But again, like when he was announced and there was a whole outcry, oh, the Twilight dude's going to be Bruce Wayne Batman, just like they did with Michael Keaton, just like they did. I'm sitting here, you're in a suit. You're like any actor could do this. I don't understand the fascination with it.
Yeah.
With like, oh, who's going to play Bruce Wayne? Who can? Anybody could.
Yeah, I mean, George Clooney did. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
it's funny. I had a friend once who actually said, if you think about it, George Clooney is probably, as a human being outside of acting, is probably the closest to Bruce Wayne than any
George
of the
Clooney is Batman.
Seriously,
we just didn't know it.
In that time, in like 97, whenever Batman and Robin came out, he was like a playboy, rich. He was cool. He was and he was kind of badass. You could see Clooney doing something on the side, going out and fighting crime or whatever. Like he's the closest to it, and obviously people did not like that interpretation.
I don't know. I'm not.
Are we doing the Batman discussion right now, or are we just talking about
No, we are.
a new one? Oh, okay.
No, this is it. We're having a full-blown discussion.
I apologize.
No, geez. I'm not fatigued enough to not be interested to see this. I think I skipped the Ben Affleck ones and the Justice League ones.
So did I.
And I think it more had to do for me with Ben Affleck being Batman, and also because just hear me out. Batman, him being Batman, and also the tone of those films in general. Like when we talk about Watchmen later, we can talk about like Zack Snyder and his vision and his directorial style and stuff. It's just I don't like it. I don't like how that looks. It's like if Joel Schumacher put one out today and it looked just like the George Clooney one, I'd be like, I'm not going to see that. That looks like crap.
I would. To me, that would be like, wow, you guys re-envisioned it. That would feel different.
I'm saying instead of this Robert Pattinson one, some other goofball shit came out. I don't know that I'd be as excited to see something that, I feel Batman should be taken seriously, and I guess that's just ingrained in me from the beginning. And I don't know that I can ever go backwards. So when it's like, okay, what's this next person going to do? You're right. Like, I'm not going to probably go see this in the theater, but I will check this out and see what all this hoopla is all about. I like Batman. I like the story. And like you said, I like Robert Pattinson enough to see, okay, what's his take on this character within this movie, within this universe? Is it good? Is it not good? It's kind of like seeing Christian Bale for the first time.
Give me 3 options. Give me 3 takes that someone can do on Bruce Wayne Batman.
What do you mean, like as far as like how they approach it?
You just said I'm interested to see Robert Pattinson's take. Just give me 3 examples of a take any actor could do on Batman Bruce Wayne.
No,
and have it not be like what the fuck.
No, you're
unless you're doing it a certain way. There is only one take.
There's one take, but I guess let me rephrase. Maybe it's I'm interested to see a Batman movie with an actor that I find interesting or good. Like I don't find Ben Affleck.
I know, but I think that
he's like boring to me.
That plays more into my fatigue. We've had it. Mm-hmm. Christian Bale, Michael Keaton. Like I don't know. Like I'm not, and I understand generation because those are old. Mm-hmm. Even Nolan's now. We're over a decade removed from them. Just me personally, I'm
just done.
No, and that 3-hour runtime.
Yeah, that's
going to be the real deal breaker. If I'm being honest, I find the time to sit down for 3 hours on a movie that I'm lukewarm at best on watching.
Yeah, that's a big.
I'm gonna have to hear rave reviews from either friends or critics I trust.
Yeah,
I can't go with the consensus on any comic book movie.
So far, most reviews I've read do ding it on a couple of things. Nobody's like praising it entirely, but it's definitely getting overwhelmingly positive reviews versus say a Batman versus Superman when that came out and everyone was like, oh my God, what is this garbage? Like there is still something that people are seeing in this movie outside of some of the obvious flaws, but that aren't being named. I think people are being fair.
And I think that's what I'm ultimately saying is I am not the audience.
Yeah.
So, if there are people out there, more power to them. If it's well made. It's hard for me to say I hope it's successful because I do. I kind of want this comic book era just balance it. I want films that like in the multiplexes, not in the indie art house theaters, but in multiplexes that are just human stories that don't revolve around comic books, Harry Potter, any source material, honestly, that kids can enjoy.
Do you think those types of movies, though, try to at least keep the theaters alive so that those other movies can make their way in?
They are keeping the theaters alive. They're the only ones
to keep.
But even that,
coming in.
You got to think though. Even that, when Disney bought Marvel, and let's not kid ourselves, it's Marvel who's the biggest one here. I know we're talking Batman.
Yeah.
Disney Plus, they're going to take all that. They're going to try and build people, or have people gravitate towards that streaming platform. The theater experience, they're trying to get out of that. Mm-hmm. That's more expensive to do. You know why? And Marvel's keeping it alive. I don't think that's Marvel's mission statement the way you said it, but that's inadvertently what they have become.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm interested to see it. I think I'm going to check it out. I don't know when, but I also, because I'm like really tuned up on Batman anyway. We kind of have had like a Batman marathon in this house for the past, like 2 months ago. We watched every single Batman, all the
Ben Affleck,
Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher,
no Adam West,
all Nolan, no Adam West, and definitely no Ben Affleck. But I
definitely no.
Well, for one, if you're going to see, there is no solo Ben Affleck Batman.
That is true.
You have to endure Henry Cavill. You have to endure Wonder Woman and all these other Justice League Jokers. It's like, I'm not in that universe. Like, I don't need to. I would maybe, if they had a solo Batman, maybe I would consider it and see what that take was. But you're really appealing to a much wider audience when you have to cram in Cyborg and The Flash and like all these other people than just these more gritty styles. But I do think watching these ones, again, like I hadn't seen Batman Forever. I hadn't seen Batman and Robin in such a long time, or Batman Returns. Kind of gave me a new sort of appreciation, and I don't even want to say appreciation, but just a new feeling for how I view those movies in total. And same thing with the Christopher Nolan ones. Like, I don't know. It was like interesting to have like a refresh on them. And I feel like most of the things I remember enjoying about all of them, I still enjoyed. And the things that I remember disliking, I really disliked. Again, I don't know that my opinion really changed too much on anything as much as things just became a little bit more clear.
Well, there's nothing ambiguous about these movies. Yeah. There's nothing you're going to rewatch in 20 years.
Be like, wow, remember that?
That's so deep.
That was deep.
The way the Penguin.
When George Clooney whipped out the Batman credit card.
Yes.
Whoa, that was a comment on capitalism in the 90s. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, just looking at them, the first one still holds that not only like nostalgia.
You're saying the first one, yes. 65 Batman.
No, I'm
is
talking.
The first
I'm talking 89.
But let's show some love to that real quick.
Okay, show some
because
love.
I grew up on that one. I saw that as a little kid, and I loved it. I saw it before 89's Batman, and I was 7 when 89's Batman came out. Of course, it's campy and corny, but it's fun, man.
Yeah.
It's well made for dude. It's an entertaining movie. And I swear, I'll give Batman 65 this. I can't tell you one quote from Batman Begins, but any day of the week, I can say, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. and that's a hilarious line, and it's played so well comedically. Dude, Batman 65, it's thumbs up.
All right, thumbs up. Hey, I'm not going to hate.
I wanted to get that out of the way.
Get it out of the way.
I'm not going to hate. We weren't going to touch on it.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to hate on anything that came before. I just know what...
It was an important step, too. I think towards getting Batman onto the screen and then eventually be taken seriously.
100%. You need to pay respect to where it started, because without where it started, then you wouldn't have these other takes and these other people that are trying to do something different. And, I think it still permeated a little bit of what went on through the other ones, but...
Definitely Schumacher's.
For sure. I mean, I think it's just the one that, hit for me when I saw it first and 89. Shaped me was obviously 89. And it's still the same. It still like it's such a good mix of all the stuff that Batman should be, including the seriousness. Like I think you were saying, like all these gritty takes, like this one, like for the time, people looked at this like, holy shit, this is a dark fucking movie or something. And it really isn't. It's gritty and dark enough, but it's also got so much fun and energy and life to it that some of these other later ones that are only serious just do not have for a comic book movie.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty notorious that Tim Burton once said, like, he's not a fan of comic books. He's never read one in his life. And 89 Batman, I think, has this perfect balance of Tim Burton and what you're saying, like a pretty accurate, faithful portrayal of Batman, especially for 1989.
Yeah.
And it does. The marriage of his style with that, it works beautifully. It's a very entertaining movie.
It's super entertaining.
And when you think about it, even as kids when we watched it, because we were 7 and it was Batman Mania, people getting the bat symbol, in their hair and shit like that. We were 7. And there's not a lot of Batman in that movie, especially for the first hour. It's a lot of gangster shit.
It is. Yep.
But for some reason,
and that's entertaining.
It is. That captivated me as a child as well.
You had enough Batman just in the beginning, like that sting in the beginning where he presents himself, says I'm Batman, rooftop. Does some cool shit. It's like, okay, now I'm immediately hooked, and take me to wherever you're going to go. And by not having Batman a little bit longer, you're anticipating it like so much.
And even Nicholson was genius casting, because even when he's not in the white makeup, which he isn't at all for again, the first hour of the movie, he's maniacal. He's Jack Nicholson. That's still the Joker anyway. I don't care if you put face paint on him or not.
Yeah.
That's Nicholson. He's a psycho.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, and it really is good. And I think I watched Batman Returns, I think almost the next night. So we were kind of just like going right through with it.
Now, real quick, what I just said about Batman 89, where it was the perfect marriage of 50% Tim Burton, 50% Batman. Batman Returns is a Tim Burton movie
just
first.
100%. Tim
Burton movie first, Batman movie second. And I think that's why I love it so much. Because he had way more freedom on that one. You could tell the humor's darker. There's more of his imagery is prevalent. It's it's Tim Burton.
I didn't find it as entertaining.
I do.
And I love it. I didn't find it as entertaining. I think I wasn't
more of a mean spirit.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. And I wasn't having fun with it. And I think that's okay from a standpoint of like, but that's not what I think I wanted from Batman. So it's almost like, I think the other thing too, and you mentioned this about the first one, is that there's like 50% Batman and 50% the Joker and Jack Nicholson. It's like almost a little bit more Joker steals the show sometimes.
I'd say Joker is more in Batman than Batman. I mean, Nicholson even at top billing.
His presence, you're right. And like, I think his presence draws away from Batman a lot. Because and why not? I mean, he's just as good, if not
Batman's
better.
villains are more interesting than Batman.
Right.
In my opinion, that should be the case in every Batman movie, that the villains get more screen time.
And that's exactly, I think, what happens in the second movie, because he's sharing the screen with not just one villain, but he's sharing it with Catwoman and Penguin and this Shrek character. And Batman's screen time is even more reduced than probably he was even in the first one as Batman and as Bruce Wayne, because these other three stories just seem so much more prevalent. I actually think this is a great Catwoman origin story, sometimes over before it being a Batman story. I really think her as a character was excellent.
Michelle Pfeiffer's incredible in it.
Phenomenal.
That's probably my favorite Catwoman interpretation.
100% agree. 100%. The whole attitude of it, the look of it, the costume, everything about it was just like incredible.
You know what I loved about the costume too? Catwoman's always been sexualized, fetishized. I always felt like, it definitely is that. I'm not trying to say Michelle Pfeiffer isn't sexy but like her hair is like, it's actually a suit. I always liked that. It wasn't like her hair hanging out.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it looked oddly plausible for the universe it's in.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at Halle Berry, that looked like a Halloween costume.
Yeah, it looked ridiculous. Yeah, yeah. And even in this new Batman, this person's like a cat burglar type. Anne Hathaway, very similar in Batman.
That's my girl.
Yeah. But I mean, very similar, like a cat burglar, just like a little mask on. It's just like, okay, that's an interesting take. But that Catwoman, the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman is like,
but you got to, come on, if you insert
it's comic booky.
If you inserted Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman into Christopher Nolan's universe, that would have
wouldn't make sense.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But I will say the dark humor was totally upped in
way
Batman
amped
Returns. And I love that because Burton had more creative control on this one. He brought in Mark Waters, who was the writer for Heathers. Burton was a huge Heathers fan. Obviously, he had the connection to Winona Ryder and all that. And Mark Waters added a lot of that Christopher Walken pushing around. Actually, it's a lot. It's like
yeah.
Or it could be worse. My nose could be gushing blood, which I think that's hilarious, dude. It's such weird, off the wall, like, huh? Like,
who wrote this? And when you have someone like Jack Nicholson deliver lines like that, I feel like it comes across funnier. Whereas you have a Penguin who's like dripping with like black ooze saying some of these lines. I don't know that it comes across the same.
It doesn't. And Danny DeVito's Penguin is like, it's sleazy.
It's gruesome and sleazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
and even
for the movie.
Even his whole plot and everything that he was trying to achieve, I feel like didn't work for me. Like I didn't really like how
Joker's plot was stupid too.
I mean, it's the thing, I feel like here's why I think the Joker always is the best villain in most of these, just because he's chaos and he has no plan and he's just trying to disrupt. Whereas the Penguin had this very specific mission to kill all the firstborns, and then you have these other villains that have this very specific mission to do all this very. They all have this specific thing, like Bane, like, oh, I'm trying to destroy Gotham and give it its comeuppance. It's like they all have these plans that all seem flat to me. Whereas the Jokers, whenever they're around, it's like I just want to fuck with everybody. We want to just be chaos and destructive and destroy, and that's a tough villain to fight against.
I don't know,
no matter
dude.
what.
I don't feel like that was introduced in the film world, at least until Heath Ledger. I don't feel like Jack Nicholson's Joker was all about
not chaos. I mean, he was putting stuff into your deodorant and your soap. He was like, and no one knew
that's
what
a plan, though. That's not chaos. I mean, that's a plan.
That's well, yeah. It's to sow like discord and chaos and fear. It's like it's just interesting. I don't know. Like what was he trying to do ultimately?
He was just a psycho. I felt like I didn't feel like he was trying to sow seeds of chaos amongst Gotham City.
Well, no, that's what the thing is. He is a psycho. There's no plan and reasoning with the psycho. All these other ones have some like.
Well, in The Dark Knight, I feel like Heath Ledger, literally, his Joker was just about that. Yeah. Like, I'm going to let humanity kill itself. I'm going to try and,
watch the world burn.
Yeah. Where I didn't get that from Nicholson's. It was too much. There was too much tongue in cheek in the performance, maybe, which is good. If you got Jack Nicholson doing it, you're great. Not everyone can pull that off. Well, let's move on to Forever. I've never seen Batman Forever.
And what about Batman and Robin? You saw that?
I've seen Batman and Robin.
You have? Okay. Well, Forever...
I've seen parts of Batman Forever.
Forever is kind of like the sort of blending, if you will, of Batman and Robin and the original Batman. It's like trying to be a serious Batman movie while half being a cartoon. And then when you get to Batman and Robin itself, you're just watching a cartoon, essentially.
And that's why I respect Batman and Robin more. Yeah.
And what's funny about that...
I respect it more for that.
I didn't know this, but what's funny about that is, so in Batman Forever is when Chris O'Donnell's character is introduced. And he becomes Robin at the end of it. And in 4, he is Robin from the beginning. But at the end, so he's in it for a good amount of the time and he's, big part of it. But he did an interview and was basically saying, I had a good time on Batman Forever. We were trying to do something original and different and whatever. But by the time we got to Batman and Robin, Joel Schumacher would literally be on like a crane with like a bullhorn and just be shouting down over everyone like, remember everyone, this is a cartoon. Remember this. We're filming a cartoon. And Chris O'Donnell was just like, I just couldn't get down with that. And he said like a lot of people within that production kind of like were soured by the way that the direction that was going in, and that might have affected performances. Like, who knows what all these excuses
That's also
mean.
in hindsight,
but
though.
It is.
That's in hindsight, and the reaction was so negative.
Oh, it was horrible.
It stopped comic book movies in their tracks.
Yeah.
Like, what is he gonna say?
Yeah, it was.
No, I put my heart into this, and I did the best.
No, I don't know.
The best portrayal of Robin ever on screen, but that asshole Joel Schumacher, he just wanted to make it a cartoon. Like, that didn't happen.
Yeah, and in 4. And Batman Forever, he's Batman almost the entire time. Like, he's very rarely Bruce Wayne. And I think that is probably, again, going back to Batman Returns, he's not really Batman that often. And I think people wanted to see more Batman. Joel Schumacher's like, we're going to give them as much Batman as they want. They start the movie off, both 3 and 4, with Batman in full uniform, looking at the Batmobile, getting in it, and driving off. Whereas in the first one, it's sort of like hinted at for a little bit. So you finally have these reveals. They're like, nope, we're just balls to the wall Batman from the beginning of it. And that's kind of the direction they went in. I find 3 to be very entertaining, to be honest. I find it to be more entertaining than the second one as far as if you're looking at it from like, I'm going in to watch something to have fun. Like, this
Batman
movie
Returns that's fun on a real level. Batman Forever is condescending, dude. Even at 13, I avoided
Batman
it.
Forever is condescending. You didn't see it.
I've seen parts of it. I said, but you know what?
You didn't see it.
I parts. I've never sat down and watched the entire thing.
Oh, you got to, dude. It's classic.
No, I don't. And this is why. Even when I was 13, I boycotted it because they fired Tim Burton. That was the whole thing, was like, yo, we can't, that Batman Returns was scaring kids in movie theaters. So it's like, let's get Joel Schumacher, a journeyman. We can boss around, make it more colorful. That's why it looks purpley and pink and all that. And as you said, and to me, now you're giving me a product. Even at 13 years old, I saw through it. Yeah. Put Jim Carrey in there.
There was a soundtrack.
He was on fire. The soundtrack even sucks.
Oh, Kiss from a Rose?
I mean,
Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me by U2.
Yeah, that sucks.
Oh, that song is so good.
And I'm a huge PJ Harvey fan. I can't even tell you what her song is on that soundtrack. Dude, everything on that soundtrack sucks.
If it makes you feel any better, if I was to rank these films, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Because I do think that 2.
Makes me feel better.
I feel like 2 is a better movie, and I enjoy the spirit of Tim Burton over Joel Schumacher any day of the week. But what I'm saying is, when I watched the third one right after 2, I kind of had fun with it. Like, the second one is such a downer in a way that I was like, okay, I'm ready.
It's not a downer.
It felt like a downer. Dude, I just watched it. It wasn't fun.
I've seen it a billion times.
When was the last time you watched it?
Well, last time I sat down and watched Batman Returns in its entirety.
Check it out.
Probably like 10 years ago.
Man,
but I'm saying, dude, I watched it a lot. The first 2 I've seen at least 20 times in my life.
I don't know.
At least.
The 4's not worth anything.
But no, that's why I kind of respect 4, or maybe respect is a strong word.
Yeah, that's strong.
But I defend it a bit.
Okay.
Because if you're going to turn this into a complete product bullshit cartoon, go for it.
Yeah,
and to me, 3 was like, we're selling you it, but we want the kids and we want this.
They had their foot in both.
We got Jim Carrey in here. We got all this stuff, and it's
they definitely were trying to do both. With that.
3, they were like, nah, this is just straight kids movie. Yeah. And as corny as that is, hey, if you want to really look at it, out of every Batman movie created, maybe Batman and Robin is the most original out of them all. It stands out the most out of all of them.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I watched it exactly like that. Like, this is a cartoon, and for my sensibilities of what I want to watch, at least these days, it's not for me. Like, I didn't like it. I didn't Get Down with it. I didn't like it. I don't like George Clooney as Batman. I don't like Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
No,
I didn't
funny.
like... unintentionally.
Right. I know. It wasn't intended. I'm not watching it the way it was intended to be viewed.
Yeah.
But
I would
you have to admit, dude, which one was Coolio in?
Was he in one? Did I forget?
Yeah, he's in one.
Oh, he was. Oh, he was in...
It's Batman and Robin, isn't it?
Maybe 3 or 4. I can't remember. Yeah, he definitely is in 1 or 2. I don't know.
That says everything.
It does. It does. I mean, Joel Schumacher did a Joel Schumacher thing, but for me, it's definitely 1, 2, 3, 4. Definitely in that order. And then the Nolan ones are just in their own other league. I mean, I watch those as well. I don't want to say league, but just different. They're definitely in their own other league from Joel Schumacher. But as far as what Tim Burton was trying to do, it's just a different thing. But I don't know. 3, Batman Begins and Dark Knight still hold up to me. I kind of... Sometimes I forget how great I feel Batman Begins is. I think like Dark Knight overshadows it a lot since it's come out. But I mean, Begins is such a good movie as well. But that third one, Dark Knight Rises, still sucks, still long, still clunky, terrible in so many ways, boring, just like not like you can. I know you and I've had this conversation where there's so many things you can pick apart about all of them and like to kind of show like how maybe not great any of these movies are. But if you're within this 3-part universe and you're trying to be sold on this whole concept, this one is just like weighing the whole ship down, in my opinion, if you take them for what they are.
I've seen Batman Begins once around the time it came out, and I wasn't a fan. Mm-hmm. But again, it's beloved. And I don't really have anything like negative to say about it. It didn't hit me.
It's solid.
Dark Knight is a good movie where Heath Ledger's performance confused everyone into thinking it was a great movie. Dark Knight Rises, I'm with you, isn't a good movie. Maybe it's passable, but the same problems in Dark Knight Rises are there in Dark Knight.
Dark Knight Rises to me feels lazy in a way.
It does, but I always kind of forgave it because you have to understand that whole plot, it was supposed to be, like Heath Ledger was supposed to be in it. You know what I mean? It wasn't supposed to go down that way.
It felt half-baked or undercooked or something. And I'll tell you, the runtime, dude, really messed me up too. And I saw him like 2 hours and 40 something.
It's unjustified.
It's so unjustified. It's so unjustified. And even the villain, just
the Dark Knights, that runtime, that whole thing with Tiny Lister, where he's like choosing, that could have been taken out completely.
Yeah, I think that was an interesting little thing they tried to like make a point on at the end. But I mean, you probably already made that point by that time.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, all the plot holes that are visible in Dark Knight Rises are there in Dark Knight. It's just Heath Ledger makes you forget them.
Yeah, and you
walk out of that movie and all you're thinking about is Heath Ledger. And he's only in it for like maybe 15 minutes out of that 2+ hour runtime.
The villains of these movies, if they're not good, then these movies aren't good. And I'm totally in agreement with you. That makes or breaks all of these films that I've ever seen. And I've dabbled into some of these other DC ones, like a Wonder Woman and all this shit. And it's like, some of these characters are good, but if they're not going up against something that I feel is formidable or is also as captivating, then this movie is just trash. And this Bane character, as interesting on its face as it seemed, he slowly, after like 20 maybe minutes, becomes like something that you're like is a half-baked rehash of the first Batman Begins, because his plan is the same plan as the first movie. He wants to destroy Gotham, just like because he's with the League of Shadows. He's like, oh, we didn't take care of the job the first time. Here, I'm coming back. Okay, half-baked, not original, lazy. Then at the very end, the climax of the movie, he's literally like blasted away without any care, just like dead, because ta-da, there's some reveal that Talia al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul's sister, has been right in front of us the whole time. It's what's her name? Not Rachel Weisz. Marianne Cotillard. She's been in this movie as like an acquaintance. Oh my gosh, she's like this person. Forget Bane, who's been in this movie for 2 hours and a half at this point. We just like kill him for like nothing. Like so many things just fall flat in this movie. Batman's not even Batman. He's hurt off screen for like half of a 3-hour runtime.
I agree.
Trash.
You know who doesn't fall flat in that movie though? Miss Anne Hathaway.
I was about to say Anne Hathaway.
She does not. You have to admit. You
love Anne
have to
Hathaway.
admit she has light. She's the only one in that movie where it's like, damn, you want to be there. I feel you. It's like I'm not going to compare it to Michelle Pfeiffer or Halle Berry or Eartha Kitt or whoever, but like in Christopher Nolan's universe, she managed to make that feel alive. And that's why I love the chick, dude. She's a great actress.
I know you love to use some Anne Hathaway.
But well, dude, everything you're saying, The Dark Knight. I want you to, I've asked this question to so many people over the years. I will ask you. I will posit it to the people watching. Please answer me in the comments. At the end of The Dark Knight, why couldn't it have been blamed on the Joker? Why did Batman have to take the fall? Joker was on TV in Gotham. Every Gotham citizen would have been aware of the Joker. And the whole thing was we got to make Harvey Dent look good so that there's faith in the system and all that. So Batman has to take the fall. Just blame the Joker.
Could have done that probably.
There you go. Problem solved. Batman doesn't have to go into retirement, all that. But you don't get a cool title like The Dark Knight because Harvey Dent was the White Knight of Hope.
Batman can be whatever Gotham needs him to be.
I'm just saying that ending was silly. It was silly. There's so many plot holes in that movie. And like I said, I was duped myself. The first time I saw it, I walked out of that theater like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And when I rewatched it, that's when dude, this is Heath Ledger, like confusing everyone. And it is an iconic performance. He deserved the Oscar. It had nothing to do with his death. I mean, maybe it had something to do with his death.
It'll be remembered
but for
forever.
me,
It's iconic. Like
dude, you can watch it now. If you show that movie to someone who's like was in diapers at that time and they didn't know Heath Ledger was dead, they're gonna walk away from that movie feeling the same way I did the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
It played no factor.
No.
And it was a great performance.
Yeah. At the end of Dark Knight, after he falls like nearly to his death and like all that stuff happens where he doesn't blame the Joker and he like, rides off, he's all broken. In the beginning of Dark Knight Rises, he's completely shattered. He's like got a cane. He can't even walk. Basically, he's like destroyed. And then all of a sudden they need him to be Batman. So he like puts some weird brace on his leg and then he can like kick through a wall. Well, dude, and he's like, I'm back.
He breaks his back and then somehow makes it around the world.
Well, that's after he becomes like Batman again the first time after he's like, oh, I guess I'm not crippled anymore. Batman then Bane snaps him in half essentially, flies him around the world, leaves him in some jail in a pit in India. Then he has to somehow recover from that, climb up this thing to get back, gets out of this pit. He's in India now, has to make his way from there back to Gotham, which, by the way, all the bridges have been blown up. He somehow makes his way back in to save the day.
With a broken back.
Takes a nuclear bomb on the Batwing or whatever that dumb thing is.
Some days you can't get rid of a bomb. Yes.
Boom. Into the middle of the ocean, drops it, blows up, ends up in France, and winks at Alfred. It's like, what?
I never put that together. That was Nolan calling back 65 Batman. He could get rid of the bomb in this one. Nolan, I take it back. Dark Knight Rises is the crown achievement in that series.
All right, dude, let's get into some news, for God's sake. That's it for that. That's it. I can't do it anymore. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Okay, here we are. Let's go here first.
What new Anne Hathaway movies do we have this week in 4K?
None this week, but up first. Russ. Coming out April 18th on 4K Ultra HD from dare I say my favorite company? I mean, they're up there. For all the releases they're putting out and how they're looking, I am really been impressed, and that is Second Sight.
I thought you were talking about A24 for a second.
No, not A24. A24 is a good company too. No, but Second Sight, great company. They're putting out The Witch in 4K on April 18th. In what appears to be another one of these, collectible box set types, which they really nail every single time. So this movie was previously released in 4K back in 2019 already, and it was essentially bare bones. So this release is getting a new slate of features and their usual great packaging. It's going to have Dolby Vision HDR. It's going to have an audio commentary by the director, Robert Eggers, a new commentary by some film writer, new interviews with Robert Eggers, Anya Taylor-Joy, Ralph Ineson, who plays the dad, Kate Dickie, the mom, and Harvey Scrimshaw, who is the brother. So nearly the entire family is back here in interviews.
So that's the entire cast.
That's pretty much everybody. Yeah.
Did the goat come back?
No, the goat did not come back for this Blu-ray release or 4K release. There's some other like featurettes where some Q&A at BFI London, some other interviews with Robert Eggers in the cast, and then a short film by Robert Eggers as well. And then you've got a rigid slipcase with some new art. And
I
then
like that art.
And then a 150-page hardback book with new essay stills, costume and production design gallery, and then 6 collectible art cards. I don't know if this transfer is new or old or director approved, but the previous release was also Dolby Vision HDR. So, yeah, I don't know. This package looks great. Everything about this looks really great. I'm not sure about the art exactly. That's the one thing that I was looking at it. I don't know if I like that new illustration on the cover. But
with Anya, well, she's becoming a star.
She is. They got to put her on there.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Second Sight, they're picking up. So this year they've got coming out Drive. They've got The Hitcher. They've got Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They just announced these are coming out this year from them. Now they don't say if it's a set like this, but they just keep announcing really great titles. And if they keep putting out stuff like this, they're like rivaling Arrow at this point. Most of these releases I've gotten from them feel almost in a way better than some of the things that I'm getting from Arrow from time to time. Now,
feature-wise, they?
Feature-wise, I feel like some of these I've seen be really, like that guest one is just like unmatched. Like, I don't know what else they could have possibly gotten, but this one seems fair, but maybe Arrow would have gotten a little bit more somehow. I don't know. But overall, I think the packaging definitely makes up for anything there. The other thing that's interesting about this too is A24 themselves actually started putting out special edition DVD or Blu-rays in 4K. They did The Last Black Man in San Francisco, Midsummer, and that new movie they put out, Lamb. And there are these really intricate boxes with, it's almost like canvas box and like these nice booklets and stuff. Yeah, they look really, really nice. And when I saw this, I was really like happy and I pre-ordered it right away, but I was curious if A24 might do something similar for this movie, or if they still have the option to, or if, only Second Sight has, but I don't know.
I like that. I mean, I think it looks nice. With you, and it's more because that cover is new. And it just looks like an artistic rendering of a scene in the movie. Whereas the other one, it's just like,
Yeah, I don't know if I like the illustration of her 100%.
That's what I mean. Whereas like the goat
looks
or
good.
The crow, the raven, whatever that is, the bunny.
The bunny, that all looks really good.
Yeah.
It all looks really, really good. But yeah, I pre-ordered this as soon as our good buddy Mark out there hit us up in an email, like after this had been announced, like a minute after. Lifesaver got in there real quick. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that.
Oh, is it already sold out?
I actually don't know. But it's actually.
I was thinking about picking this up.
Really? It was only $39.99 UK, which I think ended up being with shipping like less than $50.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's decent. It's decent. So I know, Russ, you said you hadn't seen this movie before, but this movie, I think in one way it's responsible for putting A24 like really on the map, and then putting her, Anya Taylor-Joy, on the map as well. So I think A24's their first biggest thing that I remember was Spring Breakers, and that was like back in like 2013. Then they had like a hit with Ex Machina, that movie Room, which was like that that kidnapping one. Under the Skin was also A24, but then this one was 2016, I think. And then once this movie was kind of like a hit for them, they got Moonlight after that and a couple other like big ones, and they just started like snowballing from there. But this movie, I felt like its biggest downfall for people that went in to see it was maybe the trailer, or maybe the thought that this was going to be like some insane, like scare a second horror film, because this movie is more atmosphere and tension, as well as a mix of some legit scares that are, legitimately scary, but a lot of it's just mood. And it's like, I don't know if that's this guy's deal, where he uses like atmosphere in the environment and subtle soundtrack and stuff like that and musical cues to like just build this dread. But I could see how a modern audience, or even an audience back in 2016 that saw a trailer that was pitched to them and went there and thought, oh, this is boring.
So that's interesting. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about this movie.
Really?
Are there detractors out there?
I think it is kind of divisive, as far as some people will say, great horror movie, great this, great that. And most people will say that was boring. Or I think the only comment that I would maybe have about it is that it's not as accessible as as it could be because it's a period drama that is taking place in like the 1600s New England. And
that's what I was about to say.
The dialogue.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you had subtitles, it might be better, just because not only what they're saying is, whether it be slang or whatever, but it's also like the language of that time. They're using words that you're not familiar with 100%. So again, you're going into a theater and you're like, can't understand maybe 25% of what the people are saying in terms of, you know, their language. So, I mean, I think that's a roadblock for a lot of people too.
Can you understand the goat?
No comment on whether you can understand the goat or not. But I think maybe...
That is kind of a spoiler. I just realized that.
Jeez, Russ. Spoiler alert. I'm going to have to cut that out for later. But I do think, again, this movie is more psychological horror than it is supernatural. And I don't know that people were ready for that. You see the movie called The Witch. You're like, where is the witch? How many witches are there? Whatever. But I think that's...
I don't know. I think it being a period piece was probably helped in sort of keeping the morons away.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, if this had taken place in modern...
I don't know.
I will say, you know what's funny recently? Because of Last Night in Soho, which I haven't watched, but I was wondering, where did she come from?
Like literally her first movie. So this is what she's from. This is what she's known for. And I think this movie, like I said, launched A24 in a way. And I think we had a similar conversation about Scream, where you told me that when Scream came out, it sort of launched a new genre or a new wave of like style of filmmaking. And I feel like The Witch did something similar, where this new era...
The Witch the first? I know exactly what you're saying.
This new, like, I think you've referred to it as like style over substance. And I think people could probably levy that argument against this if you wanted to. But I do think that this movie holds a good balance of trying to use a certain style. And obviously it's trying to bring you into a world. So it needs to create that element and that atmosphere. But also I think there is substance there, that because people weren't getting it maybe the way they expected, that they may have turned on this movie a little bit. But I still think this movie is super effective, whereas other movies that try to be like this movie fail or come across like hollow, and all they could pull off was sort of camera tricks and ambiguity and whatever. Like
to me, when I'm expecting ambiguity, it's not ambiguous anymore.
Right. And that's the thing. This movie's not ambiguous. Like you want to talk about like Hereditary or something, like that movie
or this style, you know what I mean? Like this wave of horror,
this A24, Midsummer, horror. That's the same director, but these similar things, like Hereditary is a good example. That's a really tense, interesting movie, but it's so ambiguous at the end that unless you read like an explainer, it's like you don't even know to some degree what happened at the end, what the message was. Like you just are kind of okay. And then, but this movie, it ends in a way that you understand everything that happened. Like there isn't any ambiguity at all. It's like, this is very clear what went down. And I think that it's a success for that. It's not trying to be that.
Looks good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid. My only gripe is that dialogue. To the extreme to some degree. I mean, it's kind of like once you watch it maybe a handful of times, it becomes a little bit more easy to kind of follow along with. But a couple of times in the beginning there, for the first 20 minutes, it may take a second to kind of, I don't know, get into that world that they're painting with all the, it's like, historically accurate language and settings and lighting. It's like the whole movie was shot by like candlelight or something. It's like, I don't know.
It's the Revenant all over again.
Kind of.
This is Barry Lyndon all over again.
And they also do some crazy aspect ratio where there's like huge blocks on either side. It's like a 1:66, like some strange thing where the whole picture is, very constrained and claustrophobic, but thin enough to where you can get really like wide shots of like the trees and stuff. So it's very, again, they like play around with everything to make it atmospheric, I guess.
That's the way a lot of movies looked in the 1800s.
That's what they mentioned. 1600s, like they were like talking about not movies in the 1600s.
When does this take place?
Yeah, like 16 something. But it was saying, he basically, not that they had I don't know if it's film reel from like the earliest styles of movies reels that they had was like in certain aspect ratios. And this was like one that they decided to use for this, like early in the history of film. So they could make it look retro and antique and whatever. I don't know.
It's House of the Devil all over again.
Yeah. This dude did The Lighthouse after this.
And that was The Witch all over again.
That was more so careening into the territory of like style over substance. I mean, you could probably glean enough away from it to understand what was going on, but it was just a fever dreamy kind of a thing where it was just like one crazy scene to the next, and Willem Dafoe, Belle Biv DeFoe fame.
Oh, nice. He's in it?
Yeah, he's in
I
it.
didn't know he acted.
Yeah, and he, I mean, they just basically said go nuts, and I feel like he did his best, old-timey sea captain routine, and it just works. I mean, he just nailed it.
It's Willem Dafoe. It probably does work really well. It's probably entertaining as hell.
It's good. It's good. And then he's doing this Northman movie after that, which is that one with like one of them Skarsgårds. I don't know.
One of them Skarsgårds?
Yeah, one of them Skarsgårds.
That's a shirt idea.
Yeah, one of them Skarsgårds.
One of them Skarsgårds.
Yeah, so good on you, Anya Taylor-Joy. Congratulations on all the success you've had as a result of The Witch.
She's a viewer.
Thanks for subscribing and always reaching out. We're going to be, or at least I'm going to be pre-ordering this. I already have, and hopefully it'll be on the way. I think it's, what did I say, April? It's actually really soon. April 18th, it'll be out.
Yeah. They announced that late, didn't they?
Seems like it. It's just like right away. As soon as the announcement, it was like 2 months, or not even a month later. So pretty awesome. So out April 18th. Russ, did you say you are going to pre-order?
I don't know. I want to watch it.
Okay.
I want to check it out.
Okay.
It was always on my list. I just never got around to it.
Gotcha. Well, it looks good, and thank you, Second Sight, as well, for putting on another quality release. Indeed. Another film that was just announced from our good friends at Titans of Cult, who we talked about last week, is saying, like, where have you been? Haven't seen anything from you in a little while. The last thing I saw was Halloween 2018 that they were putting out. And like a day later, I saw that they are going to be putting out Watchmen on April 28th on 4K Ultra HD.
First of all, I'm actually shocked they're doing that.
Are you?
I mean, dude, that show just came out. And how did Titans of Cult get their hands on something like that?
I wish it was the show. It's the Zack Snyder release, not the show. The Zack Snyder Watchmen. And I think this actually does in a weird way. I think this makes sense for them. I can see this next to everything else.
It totally does.
Yeah,
dude.
I could see.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah, I could see it next to literally everything they've done. And it's crazy too, because the Watchmen has had a really long history on physical media, one that I feel like is built on cash grabs and not price gouging, but just cash grabs straight up. Like when this movie was announced, the Zack Snyder film was announced, like, I don't know if it was before the movie. Yeah, before the movie hit the theater, they released something called the Motion Comic, which was essentially 12 30-minute episodes of each episode being a chapter from the 12-chapter book, Watchmen. And it was the comic book panels, like slightly animated, just enough to where it looked like it was moving along. It wasn't like a cartoon or anything, but it was enough. And it was also narrated and read by this one guy, and he did all the voices, and they were all different. He did the women, he did the men, he did all the different characters.
Jay Farrow.
Who?
SNL's Jay Farrow.
Oh,
he's a dude. He does great impressions.
He does. No, it wasn't him. I forget the guy's name, but he's really good. He's got a good voice.
That was funny until I had to explain it.
It was. Sorry, Russ. You got great humor, but I'm lost on that one. So they put that out. Then the movie hits the theater in the theatrical version. Then, of course, Zack Snyder, like when he puts a Blu-ray out, it's got to have his
Snyder
director's cut. It's got to have the Snyder cut.
Snyder cut.
Exactly. So the first thing that hit physical media on Blu-ray was the director's cut. And then in the UK, you could get the theatrical cut if you wanted, but that was UK only.
Wait, the theatrical cut was never available?
Never available.
Nope. I wasn't aware of that.
Director's cut only. Theatrical cut came out available in the UK. And then following those releases, and by the way, all of these were like telegraphed. It was like, okay, down the line, there's going to be some like giant to-do.
Squid.
Right. Some giant squid to do at the end of this road. But if you want to keep buying these releases, you can. So the next thing that came out was this thing called The Tale of the Black Freighter on Blu-ray. And it's like 30 minutes of an animated cartoon, which is of a comic book that a character is reading in the original graphic novel. So essentially, in the graphic novel, there's a character reading a comic book, and it's called Tale of the Black Freighter. And every once in a while, they cut to this comic book because this comic book is like also running parallel to this story. It's kind of like an allegory of what's going on real time in the real story that you're watching. Well, in Zack Snyder's movie, they actually made a cartoon of that, and they were supposed to like intersperse it in the way that they do in the Watchmen comic book, but they did not. But what they're telling you is you can have this isolated cartoon version of it that we created up front on a Blu-ray if you want it.
I have a different theory than you, though. I don't believe any of this stuff was cash grabs. No. I think, because I remember when this came out, I think this property, first off, comic book movie, Marvel just started. When did this come out? 08 or something? 09?
Yeah, like 09, I think.
Yeah. Marvel hadn't taken over the world yet. Comic book movies were a big thing, but they weren't at the peak yet. They weren't at like Avengers level yet. And I think this title is niche. The people that they were trying to attract with this title, they're the people who are going to tear it apart if it is not faithful to a fault. And when I watched this movie, I've never read the book. That's what I felt watching it, was that it was almost like, dude, you're giving me goddamn everything. It's like you don't want to leave anything off the table. Even the length of the film without the Black Freighter or any of this other stuff, it just felt very like I might as well be reading the book at this point. True. And I know they changed the ending with the squid thing and all that, but I mean, that aside, it just felt like fan service to a fault.
Yes.
But not traditional fan service where it's just like fan service in the sense of like, I really want to let you know that I understand this source material. I am treating it seriously. I am treating it dark. That's what it felt like over. Like, I get it, dude. Just like, and that's what it felt like to me, someone who did not read the source material.
No, 100%. But so you have this theatrical cut, right, that he did, and then maybe you have this director's cut that he's going even deeper on. Okay, let me give you more for the fans, because like you said, what more is there? Well, guess what? There was more. There was like 30 minutes more for the director's cut. Then after that Black Freighter thing gets released, out comes the ultimate cut, which is literally every last piece of footage he shot plus the Black Freighter embedded in there. So now you've got the full, like you said, I might as well just read the book. Read the book.
Well, and to my point again, we literally just have, so you're telling me it's very good HBO series. So there is a lot to mine from this material, apparently. Yes. And like I said, it didn't bug me as much with this title, whereas we talked about why is the new Batman 3 hours? This one, it was kind of like, all right, the people who love this love it. They love that book and all that. It's like, I get why you were trying to go that route.
Trying to go that
Watchmen.
route. But I don't know that fans of this property love this movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's
I don't know
a
that
different
they.
topic.
I mean, I
but
personally
I just meant
do not.
The intention. I think
is
that's
to give
what
it
was.
all.
I think Zack Snyder, like, really were just trying to like leave, dot every I, cross every T.
Yeah. Well, the reason I also went through that whole like history of all these releases is to finally end up at this one, which is the ultimate cut. Like this is the.
This will have the theatrical.
No. The ultimate cut has never contained anything but the ultimate cut. So
this is like the Blade Runner of comic book movies.
So, yeah, sort of. So you had this ultimate cut that came out in 4K, and then Zavi did this special edition packaging with it came with the book, it came with all the stuff. It was actually decent. However, these ultimate cut releases that have come out have never contained anything but the ultimate cut. So you don't have choices to go and watch whatever version you want. You've got to watch this, whatever it is, this behemoth.
That's interesting.
Which, by the way, let's look at the runtimes really quick. So you're talking theatrical cut, 2 hours and 42 minutes. Director's cut, 3 hours and 6 minutes. And then once you add all that Black Freighter stuff in there for this ultimate cut, this is a 3 hour and 35 minute experience. And that is, there are no other versions included. That is what you are looking at when you get this release. So pretty wild. Looking at this, it looks pretty much what I would expect for them to do at this point. I mean, it
looks kind of chintzy for what this title is. It looks like X-Men or something.
It does. Like, I think the box, this plastic case, looks okay for what they're normally doing, but the steelbook itself, I don't like at all. I think there's so many better images from this story and this comic book that you could
just put a big blue dong on there and call it a day.
Definitely needs dong. Definitely needs a little bit more dong. I don't know. It looks like if you close up on this thing, it's got like lines on the pictures. I don't know if that means it's like one of those lenticular jobs. Like when you kind of, move it, it changes, the picture changes. Cause this is the scene where he transforms into Dr. Manhattan. So that could be, I don't know, that could be what's going on there. You also get the Dr. Manhattan pin, and then you get this, these Rorschach cards in an envelope. Like, I don't really think that matters too much here. But this is, their typical style release. Okay. The features are the identical thing from the previous Ultimate Cuts, so there's nothing really new here. And the only listing that I saw, or actually they've been completely announced at this point. The first time I looked at this, it was only announced in Germany, but now it's announced everywhere. So I don't know, dude. I mean, as a concept and a property, I think it's fantastic. I think Watchmen is awesome. And just going back to that motion comic that I was, mentioning about before, I'd never heard of Watchmen before. I didn't even know what it was. And then when all this movie was coming out, it was like, oh, I hadn't, kind of did a little bit of research just to see what this comic book was, or this not motion comic, but this graphic novel was. And then I was like, I saw that they were releasing this thing that was just like a cartoon version of it. I was like, all right, well, I'll check out like an episode of it just to see what it's like, just to see what it is. Dude, it gripped me from like that first episode. I crushed all 12 of those episodes across a day and a half. Like I just watched them all. I was so interested and pulled into that world. It's like the tone, it's violent. It's not what and because you've seen the movie, but like on a first time watch, not knowing what to expect from this so-called comic book, there's like real points and real meaning and real messages. And again, there's violence and rape and murder and intrigue and, people that aren't really heroes at all. Like all these people are terrible. And it's like, you're watching this kind of madness unfold. And it was just really captivating to me. And I think another thing that was kind of visually, it's stunning too, because the color palette is so interesting in this movie, or not in this movie, but in this comic book, and then translated to this movie. But
Snyder's a visual guy, man.
I mean, and that's probably why he was drawn to it.
He's visual.
I mean, I'm just saying from the comic itself, the graphic novel itself, and watching that motion comic, it is a very awesome thing to behold. Now, translating it into film, I mean, it's basically unfilmable. And like you said, he tried to give everything he could in 3.5 hours. Mm-hmm. He should have just made it a series. Could have made it a series, I mean, that in hindsight, that's more of the thing that people are doing now.
Yeah, I was about to say, that really wasn't an option, I feel like, at that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the TV was started. I mean, the golden age of television, as people call it, was definitely going on at that time, but it really wasn't doing it with comic book properties yet. It was more still coming out of like Breaking Bad type, shows.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I mean, I was really excited to see this movie. Like when it first was announced, because after watching that comic book, that motion thing, I was like, holy shit, this is really cool. And I'm interested to see this movie come to life all of a sudden. And then when I watched it, it was just like, I don't know, it's kind of like a letdown. Like it didn't feel like, I should have known better going into watching something like that. Like, oh, this is going to, nail everything, because it's so much. There's so much tone. There's so much the dialogue, all the different ins and outs of the story and the characters. You just can't nail, and you can't encapsulate everything that obviously a book adaptation to movie would give you in the first place. But I don't know.
So are you picking this up?
I'm not picking this up at all, but I cannot highly recommend enough the TV show.
And that's not on this edition. If that were on this, would you have picked it up?
Yes, because that movie that TV show hasn't been released in 4K. It's only been released in Blu-ray, and once it's announced and released in 4K, I will pick up that show. It is everything that this movie could have, should have been, honestly, as far as nailing the tone of what the comic book felt like when I read it, and then therefore sort of watched it on this motion version. Like when I watched this show, it's like, this is what that world should feel like. And they also, because Watchmen's very political, there's a lot that's going on, what it's trying to say. The show does the same thing. It takes modern issues like race in America and some other, a lot of the things that have gone on recently from, alt-right rising up and certain political factions rising up. Like it tries to put all of that in this new and old Watchmen universe, which really works. I mean, honestly, it really works. And the story's compelling. The acting is great. The production value is phenomenal. It literally it feels like a sequel to the comic book that most people didn't even realize they needed. It really hit everything, including giving you the squid. The movie cheaps out on the squid. And I get why the movie cheaps out on the squid. It's like you're already trying to make this bizarre ass comic book a movie, and then you're going to end it with a squid.
I always justified that decision.
It's like
I felt like because for me, someone who wasn't familiar with the source material, and when I watched this, if a giant squid had come out at the end of this, as someone again not into it, it would have felt very odd to me.
I agree.
And unfortunately, this is the movie where they're trying to get you into the universe. They're trying to convert the unconverted. that would have been too. I see why they didn't do it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't blame them for that.
I agree. It just goes back to why this book is unfilmable, because that squid, as outlandish as it seems, works. When you're reading this and understanding where it's coming from, it just like all hits very well. And it's a shame.
Let me ask you a question about this film, though. Do you think any other filmmaker around this time would have done a better job than Zack Snyder? Or was Zack Snyder the guy to make the attempt?
I think that could be fair. I think when you look back at what he did, it's a situation where he uses identical dialogue. He almost uses the panels of the comic book as a storyboard. It's like you're watching what you read. So, I mean, from that standpoint, sure, he recreated things very well. I mean, I guess that's what you could say. Did he capture the essence of it, what makes the story good? No. From a person that has never read the book and doesn't know anything, I feel like that movie would come across as kind of clunky and sort of strange.
You know what? That's interesting, because for me, he did the same thing with Dawn of the Dead, which is, for a horror remake, his Dawn of the Dead is actually pretty good for a horror remake. It's one of the better ones.
Okay.
But he totally skipped like the meta commentary on consumers, the mall aspect that the original had. It was just more of, we sped everything up, and it's more visual now and more in a hurry type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's weird. He seems like he did the same thing here, sort of just missed the mark on what most people consider deep about it.
I guess my takeaway here for anybody that has never seen this movie, is interested in picking this up because they love Titans of Cold, or they're interested in watching this movie at 3.5 hours long, that you're going to sit down and watch this, do yourself a favor and watch the first 7 episodes of the motion comic instead, and really experience this for what it is. And from there, decide, do I want to go forward and see how this turns out or not? Because that is, I feel like, a better way to spend your time, or just pick up the graphic novel itself and read it. But if you need to watch something, I highly recommend that motion comic. It's really super well done. It's really, really well done. This, not so much. I think it looks, like Russ said, cheap and a little tacky. I'm kind of over this company to begin with.
Well said.
Coming up next, we've got some from Arrow is Wild Things.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, let's see, Wild Things. So we've got Wild Things here coming from Arrow.
The story of Rick Vaughn.
The story of Rick Vaughn, coming out May 23rd. So out May 23rd on 4K Ultra HD and on Blue from Arrow and Zavvi is Wild Things. So this release kind of is giving me True Romance Dune vibes, in that there are multiple options to pick from.
And they're all probably sold out as we speak.
And all the packaging's different, the content's different, and it comes down to, probably, I feel like, one of those things where they're trying to get people to buy everything with all of these different options, because they're not all close to the same, which I feel like is a little annoying. Now, we'll talk about the movie in a second, but I did want to at least go through these and you tell me what you think, Russ, because I'm interested to know what your opinion is on the variations here. Are these worthwhile variations, and which one would you consider? So the difference in packaging and materials, like I said, is just enough to, like, where people might want to buy it all. But as far as like what you're getting on features, obviously those are the same. So we've got option 1 here, which is the limited 4K Ultra HD edition with a standard case. You got an outer slip box. You have a poster, art cards, booklet, and 4K disc only. $45.
And all the special features are on the 4K disc?
All the special features are on this disc, yes.
A lot of times on these releases, they're just relegated to the Blu-ray disc.
Yes, you're going to get your features. Here. Now, on this next one, you've got the Wild Things as option 2. You got the Wild Things limited edition Blu-ray, which is the same as the 4K version, the exact same set, all the same stuff, except it's a Blu-ray instead.
Well, clearly I'd pick 4K over this.
So this is $35 versus $45 for those that are interested.
Okay.
Then option 3, you have the limited deluxe edition coming in at $50.
I like the cover already more, so this is what I would purchase if I were to purchase this film.
So you've got...
Because that looks more like the original cover. I don't
does.
like the artwork on the other two you showed me.
I agree. I think that wavy, like, whatever that artwork is a little strange. I like this iconic pool artwork. I think Matt Dillon and Kevin Bacon look a little...
Matt Dillon looks weird.
They look a little boyish, a little silly down there. But yeah, so that's This is the limited deluxe edition. So you have different art, a hard outer slip box, poster, art cards, booklet, 4K, and Blu-ray disc. And it's a steelbook. So steelbook, Blu-ray, and 4K.
Well, obviously, this would be the one.
And all this stuff. And then lastly,
oh Jesus!
Lastly, is at $45.
Savvy, come on,
the steelbook only version, which is the same art as option 3. It includes a booklet, and you still get the Blu-ray and 4K disc.
But it's only $5 cheaper than the other one, which has all of this and more.
Correct.
But will probably be sold out in 2 seconds.
I am not sure, but those are the 4 options. So you've got a $45 option, a $35 option for this limited regular edition, then a $50 option with the deluxe and this art on this steelbook, as well as that different art on the outside box. And then you just have the steelbook only if you don't want all the cards and everything else. Now, like you said, it's $5 less. It's because a lot of people, they complain. They're like, oh gosh, do I need the cards? Do I need all this stuff? Okay, no, you don't. Here, we'll give it to you without it all, but it's only $5 less to get. And for $5 more,
that was basically what I was saying.
Yeah, you're going to get a box and all this other stuff for $5.
Why wouldn't you?
If it was $30, maybe you'd consider it, but they don't want you to consider it.
No, they don't.
They don't want you to.
I mean, you said it in the beginning.
Yeah.
The business plan is to make sure the fan of this film wants every edition that comes out.
Yep.
That they are that OCD about their collecting habits.
100%. But the film is excuse me, let me say that again. The film itself, and I want to talk about that too, because I've actually never seen this movie, but it looks like the release itself is decent outside of all their gouging. It's new 4K restoration of the theatrical and unrated edition from the original camera negative. So you got your Dolby Vision, all that stuff. So theatrical and unrated. New commentary from John McNaughton and some producer. There's an original commentary from John McNaughton, the cinematographer, producers, editor, and composer. A new interview with John McNaughton, new interview with Denise Richards, a making of documentary, an understanding lawyer outtakes, whatever that might mean. And then you've got illustrated collector's booklet, double-sided fold-out poster, 6 double-sided poster size lobby cards, and a reversible sleeve featuring new and old art.
I'm actually surprised they couldn't get Neve Campbell back. She's at every convention. That I see coming around here.
Yeah.
Even Denise Richards doesn't even do conventions. How'd they get her and not Neve Campbell?
I don't know. But I mean, what do you think?
It's a good movie.
Do you think that these?
That's what I think.
Do you think that these prices are going to be reduced? Do you think
I think it'll sell out.
This will be it. Yeah.
And like you said, this will be True Romance all over again. And while this film isn't half as strong as True Romance, it's got about 2 iconic scenes that anybody growing up in the 90s
and
are going to buy this.
It's
gone down as a classic.
Yeah, I've never seen
like Skinamax flick, even though it was a theatrical film.
Right, and I've never seen this movie, but I'm obviously aware of it for all those reasons.
I'll tell you this,
exactly what I know it from.
It's better than you're expecting, and it's twisty. It's fun. Like a lot of towards the end of the movie, and you're a Kevin Bacon guy too,
dude.
You should watch it.
I'm gonna say,
I'll tell you this: every character in this, by the end of the movie, there's something you were not thinking at all, and it's pretty smart. It's a fun movie.
So I forgot that Kevin Bacon was in this. Okay. And then I saw that he was in this. And then I happened to read a quote from him. And this is his quote about this movie. Okay. He said this: "It was the trashiest script I ever read, but there was a new twist on every page and I couldn't put it down."
You know, Bill Murray's in it too.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get what you said, just like hit it. And I can see how if it's like a sleazy, fun, twisty kind of movie.
But think about that. Bill Murray is a dude who doesn't have an agent. And especially by this point in his career, he had already linked up with Wes Anderson and all that. He chose to do it.
Yeah.
So, there's got to be something more there than just 2 girls making out in a pool.
I also didn't put together the John McNaughton connection with Henry the Serial Killer, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which we talked about, a week or 2 ago. And it looks like Arrow's picking up this guy's movies. But again, what's this like? This progression in his career? Does this have similar tone?
Oh, yeah, this is all about murder.
That's what I mean. Is it like, is it just him with a bigger budget?
This is film noir. Imagine a film noir, but like sexual, lurid, but also comical, because it gets to the twists get more absurd as they go.
Yeah.
But not in a completely, well, it is outlandish, but within the context of the film, it works.
Okay.
And it's fun. And you're along for the ride.
Gotcha.
It's not like as an audience member, you're having fun with each reveal, just like the characters kind of are. Just as Kevin Bacon kind of said. It's one of those movies where you kind of feel like everyone's, we know how lurid, we know and we're just running with it. Kind of like Basic Instinct in a way. But Basic Instinct is way better. Way better.
But Matt Dillon, what's the Matt Dillon element like? How's he in this? Does it work? Does he work? I feel like I don't.
You don't like Matt Dillon? I do.
I don't want to say I don't want to say that I don't want to say don't like. I want to say I guess maybe I'm not familiar enough to where I would say, can he carry a movie?
Yeah.
What's one that he carries?
The Bukowski movie in the 80s. What the hell was that called? Where he played Charles Bukowski.
Is that when you were telling me about Drugstore Cowboy or something?
No, Drugstore Cowboy. Jesus Christ. Gus Van Sant. Great movie. He's the lead in that.
Okay.
Shit.
All right.
What else?
Maybe
he's one of those dudes, when you pull up his filmography, you're like, oh yeah. He's always been doing interesting things, but he always had a kind of, he was always like an off-kilter pretty boy or something, you know?
Okay.
He gets in where he fits in for me. If he's cast right, and he's cast right in this.
I can see him cast.
And you know why? Because of all that twist stuff, he always has kind of an aloof look to him. Yeah. So you never quite know where he kind of stands in certain instances. He's the victim in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then maybe he's not.
He's not at the end. Yeah.
And then, but that happens with damn near everybody in it.
Yeah. Wow. So is this a blind buy?
I'll tell you this. I like it a lot. I would want to own that edition.
Okay.
I don't know if I can justify that price.
$50
well, it's a really good movie. It's not like True Romance where it's like, I need that on my shelf.
Yeah.
This is, I'd like to own this. I don't know. And I know it's going to be sold out. So I kind of like True Romance. I don't even want to get my hopes up.
What about the Steelbook for $45?
No,
I'm an Arrow salesman.
I feel like,
salesman, 45.
You're a bad one, just like they are, because
you don't think
I feel like a dickhead spending $5 less for a Steelbook.
Do you think this will sell out? You really think it'll sell out?
I think those scenes are notorious enough. There is so much nostalgia just for that alone.
Okay.
Yes, I think it will.
Well, we'll find out.
Maybe not as quick as True Romance, but it'll go quick. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll find out. May 23rd from Zavvi and Arrow. Coming out. Also from Arrow, Candyman was announced.
From Arrow, from Scream, from Kino, from fucking Disney. What else do we got going on?
Yeah, I was just about to say. So Candyman, right. So, but also Arrow, but tying back in with what you just said. So it's coming out May 23rd.
You've got plenty of options.
From Scream Factory in the US, Arrow in the UK, and Turbine in Germany. So all across the globe on May 23rd, you're going to be able to get you some Candyman.
That's just officially Candyman Day from now on.
Well, I guess it's its 30th anniversary. And I guess that's why. I guess that's why it's all the stuff's coming out. So only Arrow and Turbine have shared their details. Scream Factory hasn't shared what's going to be on it, but it is a collector's edition.
Scream Factory's released it before,
and that's what I was going to say.
Just be the same features. Carried over.
I was about to say, actually, all of these companies have released this before, and nearly all of the features.
Yeah,
are
Arrow had the special edition with the same artwork as well. Yeah,
it's all the same. So. The other thing about these three, though, is they're all kind of different to the point where you could own them all or own just the one that you like, because they don't all encompass everything that the other one has.
And what's really funny about that? When the same thing happened on Blu-ray, Arrow put out a special edition and Scream Factory. At that time, I was beefing up my Scream Factory collection.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the Arrow one, and I kind of regretted it.
Yeah.
Because I liked the Arrow packaging better.
Gotcha.
But right now, even for this one, I'm tempted to pick up the 4K Arrow one.
Well, let's see. Let me tell you what the differences are, and then you can decide maybe which one you're going to go with. So Arrow is this limited edition, and it is the new 4K restoration from the original camera negative, supervised by the director, Bernard Rose, Dolby Vision HDR, and it's going to have 2 cuts of the film. The US R-rated and the original UK theatrical version, presented via seamless branching, which I never really considered or heard of until I was looking at this release, which I find to be interesting, where it's one disc. You're not getting 2 cuts of the movie to decide which one to put in. I think does it at a certain point when the movie can like branch off into this uncut footage, you get the option to do that. Mm-hmm. Or you decide ahead of time which version you're going to watch. Something to that effect. Does that sound correct? Am I?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's some like seamless thing. So it's not like disc 1, director's cut, disc 2, theatrical. It's one disc and it goes from there. It does have Atmos sound, which again, this is a difference that the other ones do not have. It does have the same art as the Arrow one from before, and I do like that art. I think it's cool. It's got 3 rarely seen Bernard Rose short films that have been restored to HD. It's got a 40-page booklet. It's got the postcard sized original lobby cards and the reversible sleeve and all that kind of stuff. So this is like unique to what Arrow's got going on. Mm-hmm. The Scream Collector's Edition, nothing's been announced or revealed for it, but it looks like it's going to have the same packaging as from what it was before. Mm-hmm. Maybe new art slip over the regular art case. That's what I think it was before. But no hard box from before. Maybe it will now, though.
Hard box from before.
Like the original time, or the first time this came out from Scream Factory, they weren't doing those hard cases. Now, will this one maybe have a hard case? I don't know.
No, it just came with the... Actually, when it debuted, they had an exclusive limited slip.
Okay.
Like there was the slip that came on it, but then there was a bonus slip they sent out.
Gotcha. Now, this one has 2 discs. So it's got an uncut and a theatrical disc. So you decide, there's no branching. It's like 2 discs and you put it in and do whatever, that you want to see, whatever version you want to see. It also has 3 different interviews than the Arrow one has. It also has 2 commentaries and 1 more featurette than them as well. So a little bit of a difference there. And then if you come over here to the Turbine release, so Turbine is doing their kind of Turbine thing where they're putting out a limited version. There's a limited to 2,000 copies, and you have 3 digibooks to pick from. There's 1,000 of version 1, 666 of version 2, and 333 of version 3. And
version 3 is the ugliest.
So version 3, I think I actually saw people were most excited about. Is that the original art of the film? I'm not sure.
It is?
I'm not sure, but I saw people being the most excited about that one.
I've never seen that imagery before in my life.
Okay. Well,
was that that must have been a European poster.
Maybe. These other ones look a little bit more.
Well, the first one had like a scene in the movie, basically. Yeah. The one in the middle is the one I'm most familiar with as far as poster art goes.
Yeah. Now, these are unrated cuts only. So that's the only one you're getting here. Unrated cut only. Dolby Vision, HDR. It doesn't list these all, but it says there's 9 interviews. So it looks like they might have some from Scream and from Arrow, so a bit of both. 3 audio commentaries, which seem to be from the other releases. This one comes with a soundtrack CD with sound effects and music from Philip Glass. Mm-hmm. Philip Glass did the soundtrack to this? I did not know that. And you know what's funny?
Man, that might be a selling point for me. Years ago, I downloaded the score to this off YouTube. And the only way I could they have this, I've seen the soundtrack available on torrent sites and stuff like that. But it's always just one big, 45 minutes of all that. So when you download it, you're downloading just one file of the entire album.
Right.
And all I had was that, and literally I think what I downloaded it from was the intro of the movie where they're playing it with the credits where it's like looking down on New Orleans and all that. But yeah, dude, it's Philip Glass. It's badass.
That's awesome, dude. I had no idea he came out. No, I had no idea. No, don't know.
It's cool.
Don't know, but that's coming with these releases. So pretty cool. And like I said, they're digibooks. They always look really nice. Sometimes they do nice steel books with sleeves that go over top. These are actual digibooks. And again, there's 3 different ones to pick from. So 3 different companies. Own them all. Own one. Own none. I'm not sure.
Dude, I might go with one of these. I thought I was going to go with Arrow over my past blunder.
That soundtrack CD
I like that soundtrack selling point, and I like that if the third option is the one everyone's excited about, I'm not excited about that one. Yep. So if that goes first, I still have the other 2.
And like you said, the Arrow one you already have is the same exact art.
I have the Scream Factory.
Oh, okay. Well, if you have the Arrow one already, it's the same exact probably packaging and art and everything. I don't know.
Same as Scream Factory.
Yeah, and it's probably all going to be the same. So maybe go out for something that's different with the soundtrack CD and everything else. I think it looks pretty great. I mean, I don't know much about these movies. I know we've covered like 2 or 3.
Dude, you don't need to refer to these movies as a franchise.
So it's just one and that's it.
Just worry.
Now, is this movie good or is it just Tony Todd that makes it good?
No, it's a good movie.
It's just good, period.
I'll tell you this. You know what's funny about this movie? For the longest time, I used to say, that's my favorite Clive Barker movie. And then it's Bernard Rose who directed it. Clive Barker didn't even direct it. And I'm like, well, maybe that's why I like it better than Nightbreed and Hellraiser, because...
What's Clive Barker's involvement? It's his story?
Yeah, he wrote like the book, or I forget.
Yeah.
But
I'm a huge Hellraiser fan.
It's better than Hellraiser, in my opinion.
Really?
Easily.
Is this a blind buy?
I don't know. See, you're spotty with horror.
Well, you're recommending it to me, sort of. You are kind of, but the buying part, I guess, it's too permanent.
Because I know how you are, and what I think, I'd recommend you to watch it. I think you would enjoy it. You wouldn't watch it and get angry, but I don't know if you would love it enough to own it.
To be happy about, yeah.
A blind buy, I don't know.
Okay,
maybe.
Can we get a Candyman bust, Germany?
I'll ask him next time I hang out with him.
Yeah, next time you hang out with Tony Todd. I mean, Germany, come on. I mean, this looks like a really great release too.
It's a good movie, dude. I'll probably catch shit for that, but yeah, I think it's better than Hellraiser.
And you're saying none of the other ones ever came close to, not even two?
To be fair, I've only seen two.
Okay.
The Farewell to the Flesh.
But you might as well I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure if it doesn't get much better from there, I'm sure.
No, that Farewell to the Flesh feels like a direct-to-video 90s bullshit horror movie, where Candyman, the original, is a good movie. It's a good horror movie.
Gotcha.
You know what's funny, though? You know who directed Farewell to the Flesh?
No.
It's the guy, what's his name? He ended up directing Chicago, one of the Pirates movies after Gore Verbinski left. Like, he's an accomplished director who did Farewell to the Flesh. I can't remember. His Rob something. I don't know.
Let me look.
I just always thought that was funny that this dude went on to have a much bigger career than Mr. Rose here.
Bill Condon.
Yeah. Gods and Monsters. Like, this dude's a known.
What was that one?
Wasn't
Dreamgirls?
I think he did. Maybe it's Dreamgirls he did, and not Chicago. Yeah. I guess Chicago was the Rob guy or whoever.
Yeah.
Who cares?
All right, well, Candyman fans, May 23rd. Lots of Candyman for the 30th anniversary. Russ, do you have anything planned for 30th anniversary of Candyman? Is it like a Candyman day or anything? Does anything go on the 30th anniversary? Do you say his name and hope he comes?
I'm going to hang out with him again, man.
Yeah, give him a call. So Arrow, Scream, Turbine, they've all got it. May 23rd. Coming from Shout Factory. Now, here comes they just released like a huge dump. Yeah, they released a huge dump of stuff the other day. And one of the bigger titles that they announced was...
Don't you dare say huge dump and then go into Escape from New York. You
Sorry
asshole.
about that. One of your favorite films of all time, Russ, Escape from New York, is being released.
My favorite John Carpenter film.
There you go. May 17th, 4K Ultra HD from Shout. And this is another Scream Factory re-release. I feel like we've covered a lot of these recently, including Candyman. And including a lot of studios are doing this. They're just kind of putting their back catalog back out again in 4K. A lot of times with nothing different other than the transfer. Sometimes some new materials like you'll see here, but in most cases like Arrow, like we've seen at least, it's just the same box, the same everything. Just here it is again. So that's what's going on here. Now, what they mentioned for this one is that this is a 4K restoration completed on behalf of Studio Canal. So for those that were not aware, Studio Canal already put this out in 4K back in 2018, along with The Fog, Prince of Darkness, as well as They Live.
Yeah,
they did
those
these,
white cases.
Yeah, they did a whole set of these, and so this has already been out. So if you're someone that purchased this is essentially going to be the same transfer again. So it's kind of up to you to decide, do I need another version of this movie? Do I just want to get the US one? Do I just love Escape from New York that much? Maybe people do, that they need to have it all.
Oh, they do.
But in this sense, you know right off the bat that this isn't anything new. This isn't some new restoration. This is something that's already been out there and available for us to get. So there's that. Now, you are going to get more of the original look here. That Studio Canal one's got its own vibe, its own look, these illustrations, which frankly I don't think work, especially when all the inside materials like posters and art cards and stuff all bear that same resemblance. Like nothing is from the original style. Like I like this. Like I want a poster of that. Like I don't want a poster of some new illustration, you know? Mm-hmm. They are calling this a collector's edition. So again, maybe there's going to be, and you can see it in the picture. You can see it in the picture here that there is a slipcase like presented here for it. So whether that's going to be a hard box or not, I'm not sure, but that does look kind of nice and promising.
Mm-hmm. And this is the one that comes with the vinyl soundtrack.
Yeah. So you're looking at 3 different options here for this. You're going to get the, and again, it's just a standard re-release features wise. So what you're paying for here is either a 3-disc standard collection, which is a 4K and blue feature, and then a Blu-ray bonus disc. Then you have that same release with just the vinyl, and then you have that same release with vinyl and with pins. And it looks like there's...
I'm gonna get the one without the pins.
It looks like there's nice boxes and, you know, things that all come with this. It's very typical that you've seen like Halloween and a couple other, you know, these recent releases that they've done. They all look kind of like this, but they're doing this. I think they just did this for They Live. We did the same thing. We covered They Live. It came with a vinyl.
Oh yeah.
So this is like right up their alley.
And I think when I said that, I wouldn't upgrade for They Live. Not that They Live's bad.
Yeah.
But I'll upgrade Escape from New York.
Yeah, and the only other thing that I will mention about the features here is that the Studio Canal one has one featurette and one full-length documentary that this release does not have. So this release, this collector's edition from previous, it has a good amount of things on here, but the Studio Canal does have some additional things that this one doesn't have. So deciding which 4K release to have, there's two out there. It's up to you. Again, this looks more up the original alley.
Feature-length documentaries, that's always a selling point. That just sounds like, wow.
Feature-length, yeah.
Feature-length. Because, you know, a lot of times you'll see like a bonus features documentary, and it's 5 minutes of the guy, the composer, saying nothing. And
don't forget, there's also a soundtrack CD that comes with the Studio Canal. So there's that too. There is that too.
That soundtrack's easier to come by, though. I like the idea of having that on vinyl.
Yeah, no, it's good. It looks really nice. I mean, I think if you want to just take a look for a second, we can see if it will be worth it at all. I got it right here if you want to take a look. I mean, we already know what the transfer will be. So you can...
Are we combining segments here, man?
So you can
crossing
decide.
The streams?
So you can decide right away.
Did you answer the call?
Let's take a look. Let's just see. Since we already know what it'll be, it's right here. This is what it'll look like. So let's look.
Brain.
All right, so let's take a look at this. What's this picture right here? We've got
Mr. President.
Mr. President, Donald Pleasance. He's coming out of the egg. All right, so this is... Oh, I didn't... Oh, let me see. Oh, yeah, okay. All right, so this is the original Blu-ray. Or I'm sorry, this is the original...
the Scream Factory the special edition.
The U.S. Collector's Edition from Scream Factory. And here comes the Studio Canal 4K. Scream Factory. What do you think?
Escape from New York is a very dark film.
So you think that's more in line with that?
I think
it looks. It got a little darker.
Yeah, dude, it's very dark.
Yeah. Here's a little Snake Plissken close up. Let's see what he's looking like.
Everything's at night in this movie.
All right, so here's the Shout Factory Blu-ray, and then here comes 4K.
Yeah, it's like there you can definitely see.
His skin tone and his hair is coming to play.
Some of these scenes, like because it's so dark, it's going to be hard to see. Like the intention definitely would have been dark, whereas the Scream Factory one looked like it was brightening up, bringing more clarity as opposed to what the film was.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Studio Canal comes across and does some good transfers. So maybe, I mean, this could be. Here's, again, the Blu-ray, and then here's the Studio Canal. I don't know, that
one looks brighter.
It like blows it out a little bit more, yeah. I don't know. And that's the thing, too. We look at these, and I'm always wondering, who was at, whose hand is this? Is this the director's hand? Because when it doesn't say it,
they would have
how do we know?
If Carpenter was involved, that would have been on that statement, or, on that press release.
Yeah, I don't know. I know this is a favorite of yours, Russ, so you know better than me if this is a better looking film than it was before. But I didn't really grow up on this movie. I'm more of a Big Trouble in Little China guy. I mean, I've seen this movie since you showed this to me. And I mean, it's got same fun energy.
It's not as goofy as Big Trouble.
No, but I get it. I get where it's coming from.
It's a badass movie. Like, he's a badass, but not over the top, unlikable. It's good for kids, honestly.
Yeah.
I know it's rated R. I know it has some questionable things, but it's just a fun movie. I mean, that's what Carpenter excels at. Even comparing Big Trouble and Escape from New York, it's kind of like, man, I enjoy both.
Yeah.
There's nothing to pick apart. The only thing you could really say difference it would be Kurt Russell's performance. Yeah. In Escape from New York, he's mimicking Clint Eastwood. In Big Trouble in Little China, he's mimicking John Wayne. And
in Big Trouble in Little China, like, this is a household favorite of my son's as well, and he puts this on often. And what I always find still hilarious to this day, but again, some of these things aren't as relevant when you don't see this as often, but now that it's on all the time, you see and you watch him in this movie, and there's so many times where he's just like not a part of the fight. Like, he gets...
That was the joke.
And that's what's great. And I was trying to remember if
no one
in this
understood
movie,
it at the time.
I'm trying to think, in this movie, is that like when you were saying like he's an action, well, he's the hero, he's not over the top, he's all this stuff. But what I love about his character in that movie is same thing. Like, he's trying to be braggadocious and boastful, but ultimately he's kind of like not bumbling, but he
that was that was what was so funny, and that's why critics didn't understand it when it came out. They were basically making fun of the genre, where in any other movie the white guy would have been the lead,
the winner,
but in this one Wang's taking care of everything, and Jack Burton's like the idiot.
Even in the showdown, he's got lipstick on his face.
Exactly. Yes.
Dude, it's
even
great.
But even the John, it's hilarious. Kurt Russell's hilarious in it because even the John Wayne impression though, it like if I'm not back, you call the president. You know, what? It's like who cares if you're back? Wang's gonna save everybody anyway.
Keep the home fires burning. Classic.
But yeah, that's what's awesome about it.
Yeah. So, what do you think, dude? You upgrading?
Yeah.
Which one are you going for? You gonna go Shout Factory?
I don't know. Let's keep looking here.
All right. We'll look at one more. Let's see.
I do like that vinyl soundtrack, and it's probably my favorite score of Carpenter's as well. So I'm leaning towards that one.
Gotcha. All right. Well, here's Brain in the collector's edition Blu-ray. And there's 4K. And you can tell. Yeah. I mean, the details there. It is, and like subtle enough.
Right here, there's more clarity without the brightness.
Yes.
You know,
all
what
these
I mean?
New colors. And everything.
Yeah. I can see more, but it still looks like a dark, grainy movie from 1981.
Yep. Yeah. No, it looks.
That's
I mean,
good.
it looks good. It looks good. So that's coming out May 17th for anyone that's interested. Russ, on the fence still? You think that's going to be? I mean, I know it's one of your favorites.
This is going to be one of those ones I pre-order on my credit card, and it won't get charged till it comes out.
I'll look
at my statement. I'm like, hey, what the fuck did I buy this month? It's like, oh yeah, you pre-ordered Escape from New York for $400.
The vinyls too.
For the vinyl you'll never put on. If I want to hear the Escape from New York theme, I'm going to the MP3. But that shit looks nice on my shelf. Yes, exactly.
All right, May 17th, Escape from your credit card company because they're coming after you. All right, so another Turbine release. We talked about Candyman just quickly coming out in like 15 different versions, but there's another release coming out from Turbine, which I wanted to mention as well because they're another really awesome, again, they're an awesome company, and they are continuing to kind of put some stuff out. We covered them a long time ago, and I remember them announcing this. At the same time, they said, one day we're going to put out The Frighteners, and we're putting out, American Werewolf in London. So this one is finally coming out. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, out March 25th on 4K Ultra HD from Turbine, in nearly its 50th anniversary. Mm-hmm. We're like 2 years away or something from its 50th anniversary. So this is arriving in a 3-disc set, offered in 4 different covers. Each is a limited steelbook with a different slipcase that goes over the top. So you're going to have this steelbook here that gets this different slip that goes over top.
That's cool.
Now, it says 550 total on this advertisement, and I can't see if that means 550 per slip or total 550, which would be insane. That's such a small run for such a big title. But it would make more sense to me because usually they're like a 2,000, 3,000 run. So I mean, you've got, I think, the original, one of these is like the original art, one's maybe more of like a newer illustration. So you get to decide, which one you want. Also previously released by Turbine in a very similar way. And Second Sight's also releasing this later in the year. But this one has Dolby Vision, HDR, and Atmos. It's got 4 audio commentaries by cast, director, cameraman, editor, and sound engineer. 2 documentaries, a tour of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house with Gunnar Hansen, removed scenes and outtakes, a 60-page booklet, a 40th anniversary trailer as well.
I forgot he died.
Yeah. And that's a 2 Blu-ray set with a 4K disc. And this release does have a lot, but I will say, just looking back, there's some 40th anniversary release that came out that has a ton more. Now, it's not 4K, but it's got a ton more.
And this transfer is not good.
Oh, is
compared
that right?
to other release. I bought this, and the transfer compared to other, because this is a title that gets so many goddamn releases. I like the packaging, as you said, the features were bomb. But when I picked it up, and then when I did a little bit of research, I was like, yeah, that was probably the worst one to pick up as far as the actual movie goes.
Yeah.
So I'm eyeing this one.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really, really cool. I mean, just this release in general, like this booklet looks really nice. I love this Germany like slipcase option.
I mean, how many features you could put together for this film? There are more than one feature-length documentaries that were made on this movie.
Yes,
I see them every day when I'm looking for something to watch, like when I'm streaming. Geez, you could make. You need more capacity than what a 4K Blu-ray could hold.
Yeah.
to include everything associated with this.
Why do you think
landmark
this?
film.
Yeah, why do you think this movie hasn't been released by Arrow or somebody yet? Is it too big?
That's a good question. No, because they've done Halloween. Scream Factory's done Halloween.
I mean, this Texas Chainsaw Massacre 40th anniversary collector's edition, by MPI Media Group. It looks like they might have did something nice for it here, but I mean, I don't know. I guess I haven't seen anything that was like you said, worthy of a landmark film.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, Scream or Arrow, yeah, it would fit in there.
Why do you?
The sequels they've done.
And why do you?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, there's a Scream Factory collector's edition of that.
Is there room for a bundle here? How many are there?
There's a lot.
Is there a lot?
Dude, they just put out one.
Yeah. Oh, they
one just came out.
Yeah. And is this another situation? Because I'm not, again.
It's not like Candyman. No, you can watch, for this one, you can go to 4 if you want to. 4 is the Matthew McConaughey, Renee Zellweger one. That's 4. Terrible. Even as a bad movie to watch for laughs, it's terrible.
Okay.
The first 3 are solid.
Solid.
The second one is great. It's nothing like the original. That's why it's great.
Which one is
it plays like a dude. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is like Evil Dead 2, Gremlins 2. It's one of those movies where they just went in a complete different direction. It's more colorful and comedic, and but it's good. Dennis Hopper is the fucking guy in 2 going up against
What's the one?
He saves the day.
Where the cover art is like it's like a weird
Breakfast
family.
Club?
It's like a weird family photo. Is that 2?
That's
is that
2.
One? Okay,
that
it's
one literally.
I remember
did you know that it's a parody of the Breakfast Club?
Now that you said
cover.
that, I mean,
the
I only
one
remember
dude's laying down like that.
Yeah,
it's that's part 2.
I only remember seeing that as a kid and being weirded out by it.
I know. And did you ever connect it to Breakfast Club?
No, because I don't think I even knew Breakfast Club was, and I forgot about that until you just mentioned it. But
that right there, you see what I mean with like the comedy, how different it is from. Because I don't think Hooper wanted to do it, and it's a Canon. It came out on Canon Films.
What makes this one such a classic in terms of what?
It's gritty,
just gritty,
especially due to this day. But you got to think in 1974, this felt, and it still does feel this way. It feels like you're watching found footage.
Yeah.
It's just grimy, dirty. There was nothing that real before it. It's landmark.
Everything else is supernatural, like Freddy or Jason, or not before it, but around much after. But
it's just the style.
It feels like
it's the sunny, the Texas, the sweat, the grittiness of it. Dude, it's like, you've seen scenes like when he slams the door, all that. It's like bad. Like it's got a menace to it, and it just feels. You feel like you're there. And you don't recognize anybody.
It doesn't feel like a movie.
It doesn't feel like a movie. No, it's in the same category as like a Last House on the Left or something, which would have been around the same time.
Yeah,
it's just incredibly effective. The difference between this and Last House on the Left, though, and I love Wes Craven more than Tobe Hooper. But Texas Chainsaw is a great film. Like even for the low budget, for how real I'm saying, it's still a great film. Whereas Last House on the Left, I view as a great film, but it's got these weird kind of comic asides with the cops and all that. Or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's just from beginning to end, it's firing on all cylinders. And for a film from 1974, where nothing like it before had ever existed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's landmark. It's a landmark horror film.
Blind Buy for the 3rd time?
Again, I don't know how to recommend horror to you, because this would be more in the well, what are your thoughts on, let's say, A Hills Have Eyes? This is more in the hick horror.
I know. I was about to say,
what I mean?
This is the touchstone of all of those movies pretty much going forward after that. Like the backwoods, fell off the wrong side of the tracks.
And part 2, especially part 2. Those are that's Rob Zombie's film career.
Yeah.
House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects borrow
Hillbilly.
Not so much Devil's Rejects, but House of a Thousand Corpses borrows heavily from the first 2 Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, right down to casting Bill Moseley, who was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre too.
Yeah.
And the style, even part 2 is influential. I mean,
so
man,
picking it up.
I'm picking it up.
You're gonna pick this up?
I'm picking it up because, like I said, the previous edition I had, I kind of dropped the ball on.
What slipcase do you like?
I've always liked that white cover. I don't even know what would have been considered the original theatrical art.
This one freaks me out with him on the front. That one freaks.
That looks
just
European
his look,
to me.
Just his look Like the way the mask is on his face, you can see his lips and stuff. I really don't like
Well, you
that
know
one.
what's brilliant about this movie, and they lean into it heavier on the sequels, is that Leatherface is sympathetic. He's basically...
He's like Sloth from Goonies, right?
Yeah.
He's like a captive,
he
but he's
likes
like...
to kill.
Yeah, but he's messed up.
And his family fucks with him.
Yeah.
He's the outcast even of his own family, you know what I mean? Where they're all psychos. But I thought that's a nice touch to it all. But it also brings more of a menace because you're like, he's crazy. I don't know what he's running, chasing after her at the end of the movie, before, spoiler alert, the main girl escapes. It's just like, you don't know. Like, he could be helping her, he could be killing her. Like, man, classic.
Wow. Okay. Well, this, FYI, has been announced by Second Sight for release this year also, 4K.
And Second Sight's The Guest.
And The Witch. And they're a UK company. Now, this looks incredible.
I'm
not gonna lie.
out.
But
I want that
Second Sight,
rigid slip for my TCM.
Yeah, I know. So we'll see what that looks like when that finally gets announced and details are shown. But this is a nice looking release, especially if you're a Steelbook fan, because this is a Steelbook release, which theirs probably will not be.
I love this trend of Steelbooks with slipcases.
It's nice.
I love it.
It's also nice for protection.
Yeah.
I mean, keep me protected, baby. But yeah, I like it. So coming out again, March 25th, limited to 550 per slip, it looks like.
Yeah. Will I end up getting this?
We don't know.
Well, no, I'm going to hold out for Second Sight.
You're going to hold out for Second Sight, even though you're going to get a nice, juicy Steelbook here. But looks good for anyone else that's coming out.
Steelbook.
Yep, it's coming out at the end of the month. And then just to close out, a couple of other things from Shout and a few other just miscellaneous that kind of got announced just within the last day or two. But Shout, like I said before when we talked about Escape from New York, just dumped a ton of stuff out there over the past week. Mm-hmm. One being that Escape from New York, but they also announced Lifeforce in 4K, which people I think kind of lost their mind over a little bit. And I know there's some history here with this release and slipcases and collector's editions versus non-collector's editions.
I personally made $100.
Wow.
Selling the slipcase to Lifeforce.
Wow.
Not even the movie. The slipcase. I came across it at a mom and pop shop, a used, a video game store, a used movie store. Apparently some dude went in there and his wife, the guy behind the counter was telling me, this guy comes in periodically and his wife basically makes him get rid of all of his Blu-ray collection. You spend too much money on this bullshit. The guy has taste though. It's all special editions. Dude, I walked in this store. I spent $85. I walked out with Lifeforce with the slip, a handful of other Arrow. I went immediately to eBay. I ended up making... what was it, $300 off that one stop? And I kept and that was even keeping the ones that I didn't own already that I wanted.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big fan of Lifeforce, so I'm not keeping that for. If I could make $100 off a piece of cardboard,
You're going to do it every time.
Sorry, Toby.
Yeah, screw this collector's game. I need the money.
Oh, look, it says from the director of Poltergeist. I thought Toby Hooper made it, but Spielberg did it.
From the director of from Steven Spielberg comes Lifeforce in 4K, March 24th. Now, what's interesting about this, and maybe I'm wrong because I never noticed this before, but they're showing the box set collector's edition, but the slip does not say it. So I'm not sure what is going on with this release because what they're touting here is a 4K restoration from the original camera negative on the 4K disc, and then on the Blu-ray they've got some director's cut from or a new restoration of the director's cut from the inner positive. So a theatrical cut, 4K restoration from the original negative, and a director's cut restoration from the inner positive.
The director's cut just features an additional 30 minutes of the woman walking around naked, which is the first hour of the movie.
For those that didn't know that or are interested.
For those Wild Things fans out there.
Here it comes. Now, again, I don't know if it says collector's edition, but honestly, there's 3-4 interviews on here. That
I bet if you looked up the original Blu-ray Scream Factory release, didn't have much. It was a collector's edition, but it wasn't packed to the gill with features.
Well, I will say that it does not seem to have the exact same features as the Blu-ray did.
Really?
It just has this one right here has 3 interviews. You've got interview with Matilda May, Toby Hooper, Steve Railsback. That's it. Those are and some audio commentaries. Those are the only features on this supposed collector's edition. Now, when I looked at the Lifeforce listing from the collector's edition, there was some documentary on there, and it was saying that as soon as this collector's edition sells out, we're going to reissue it, but that documentary will not be on it. So now I wonder if this is a reissue of the reissue and not the original collector's edition. Correct me if I'm wrong out there. Let me know for all you Lifeforce fans, but that's what I'm gathering when I look at this info.
I wonder which one I had, if that had the documentary on it.
I don't know. Take a look and see.
I sold it, dude.
Sold it. Let me know. Also, so this isn't a blind buy. Also coming out in 4K, a collector's edition again from Shout Factory.
I love how you're laughing because I'm a fan.
Or a Scream Factory is, no, I was laughing about Lifeforce, but yeah, The Craft. So The Craft is coming out again. Is this one of these hard box collector's edition cases? We'll see. That'd be a nice touch if it was.
This sucks because I bought all these special editions from Scream Factory.
I know. This is lousy.
The Craft wasn't that long ago.
I'm starting to
It wasn't that long ago.
And when you
Lifeforce was a long time ago. The Craft Special Edition, I want to say it was maybe 2 years ago. I'm upset
that we can't even get any new anything. Like new featurettes, no nothing. It's like you're just buying the upgraded disc only. Give me a disc replacement program then. That Escape from New York is $35.
Literally none of these actresses are doing right.
No.
They can come back for it.
But it's $35.
The hardest person you have to come back is Christine Taylor.
Maybe $29.99. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she'll come back. I don't know, but again, it's the same exact features. It's the same exact thing. It is the original camera negative, and that's great. But at this point, is it worth the upgrade? I guess we've said that 100 times. It's like just these reissues, are they worth the upgrade?
Yeah. And again, even the packaging isn't as like, sometimes the packaging can be a selling point. Even with Escape from New York, I remembered when you pull it up, though previously this was released in 4K, I'm like, yep, I remember that white case. Like, if you give me interesting packaging, I can even justify it sometimes through that.
Yes.
Because I want to support the films I love and have them looking the best they can on my shelf.
True that.
It's damn near identical to what I already have, except it says 4K Ultra HD on the top. And
you'll probably just keep your old one.
With The Craft, yes.
You just keep your old one.
With The Craft, I will. Good movie, though.
I've seen this a few times.
It's good.
I've seen it a few times. I don't know if I'm going to buy this movie, and I don't know. I mean,
I bought it. I picked it up.
Yeah. I mean, it was back on my, whatever it was, HBO, Cinemax, whatever channel this was on back in cable days.
We would have been in like 9th grade when this came out.
Yeah, this was kind of my deal for that.
And, it was funny when it came out. I didn't want to see it. I think I had a girlfriend or something at the time. And I remember like, hey, that's better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. I remember thinking that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not bad for sure. I enjoyed it as a...
It works, honestly, for me, it works more as a teen movie than as a horror movie.
For sure. Yeah, definitely more as a teen movie.
I will say for anybody watching, though, if you are a fan of The Craft, the director Andrew Fleming made a film called Bad Dreams, which actually Scream Factory put out on a double feature disc once. That movie is awesome as well. If you're a fan of The Craft, check out Bad Dreams, made by the same filmmaker.
Bad Dreams. But also check out The Craft. May 17th.
Who hasn't seen The Craft?
What about this triple feature? Femme Fatale, Brian De Palma, Two for the Money, and Ghost in the Darkness. What do you think about that triple feature?
I know they won't be getting their own segments.
No, they won't. We're not going to talk about them for more than just this.
Strictly for the pod.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Shout Factory again. Sometimes they just drop a swath of things out there, and some of them I scratch my head on. But would
Shout Select line, to say hit or miss.
I don't know if these are Shout Select, but you're a Brian De Palma fan. Tell me about Femme Fatale.
I've never seen it.
Okay.
I told you, dude. Brian De Palma, for me, it's kind of the same thing with John Carpenter. You got to a point.
Yeah.
Once Mission Impossible hit, it's spotty. After that, I'm not catching up anymore.
All right, well.
Once In the Mouth of Madness hit, you can pretty much skip anything after.
Okay. Well,
and that's not an indictment on either one of those filmmakers. It's just facts. That's what happened. Joe Dante, same thing happened to him.
Same thing.
And it all happened around the late 90s when digital was creeping in right before it took over. And that's where John Carpenter and these people, they didn't work well.
They didn't work.
They got
86th.
They did.
Well, forget Femme Fatale then. Don't pick that up. Forget Two for the Money.
I've seen parts of it.
And no Ghost in the Darkness, Ghost in the Shell, I almost said. Because here's the real news. Here's the real news.
What, I got a new Bruce Willis movie?
The real news is that Shout Factory has confirmed that they have acquired distribution rights to the Complete ALF series. and they are going to be putting that out in physical media for everyone to enjoy. It does not say DVD.
You're a dick.
It does not
We
say
have never
Blu-ray.
once covered a TV show on here. Oh, no, yes, we have. We did Game of Thrones.
And we did The Office.
Why didn't we do
And
that
we did-
Dexter New Blood that came out? I was a big fan of that.
That release looked like junk. So
But
this
the
is
ALF Complete Series, I'm
100.
supposed to...
Well, hear me out. 102
excitement
episodes,
over?
and we did RoboCop too. 102 episodes of the full show. 26 episodes of ALF the animated series. 21 episodes of the animated ALF Tales, and the TV movie project ALF.
I mean, that's definitive.
That is definitive. And there was a funny comment that I read on this post on the Shout Factory Instagram where someone commented and said that late night one night on some public access channel, they played a version of an ALF episode, which is basically a take on a Rear Window. Like, I guess there was some like parody that they did. And they put it on, and there was no musical cues, and there was no laugh track. And it was so bizarre that he said it kind of felt like a David Lynch movie.
What is it, like ALF with binoculars looking at...
Right. And
that sounds creepy.
And he's making jokes, but there's no laughing, so it's like really dry and really strange. And he said it's the most surreal thing that this person ever saw.
All right, I changed my mind. Day one purchase.
That does sound pretty wild. I wonder if I can find that online somewhere. I'm gonna check that out.
They should have included Permanent Midnight in there, the movie that Ben Stiller did that was based on the writer of ALF.
Of ALF.
And he was like a big drug addict and all that.
Oh, was it really? I don't know too much about the creator.
Dude, the
and-
dad, he got caught
Willie.
up in some skit. What the fuck? You remember this shit.
Willie.
Yeah, dude, he got embroiled in some scandal. Wasn't he a crackhead or something?
I don't know, man. I don't
I
know.
vaguely remember him getting caught with like prostitutes and crack.
Alf
and
just
eating
need-
cats.
Alf needs to come back.
No, he
Alf
doesn't.
needs to come back on like Netflix and make his run there. Like, I don't know about a box set.
It
I don't
didn't work
know-
for Pee Wee. It ain't gonna work for Alf.
I don't mean like new episodes. I mean, he just needs to show up on Netflix and let a new audience discover Alf and, decide if he's still worth anything.
I never
don't
realized
know.
how passionate you were about Alf.
I loved Alf, dude. Alf was my jam.
And he's going Netflix, a new generation,
We
a
need
new
it back.
audience
We need it
needs
back.
to discover
I
Alf.
mean, I'm waiting
Did
to
you
see
see the Rear Window episode?
I'm waiting to see
This
the
is
pre-order
art.
price. I'm waiting to bring it into the new generations for Shout Factory. But yeah, so that's all coming out from Shout. Alf coming soon.
I love how the craft and Lifeforce got
Who cares
lumped
about
in
that?
with Alf.
Alf.
Oh, wait, so 2 for the money.
2 for the money. What do you have to say about Night of the Hunter, which has also been announced from Kino Lorber, our new favorite 4K studio?
It's a great film, and it's funny to me that Kino keeps stealing Criterion titles and
Yeah.
putting them out in 4K.
Based on what the smidge that I've seen, based on what you've shown me and explained, and images and things that I've seen, and sounds like music. that you
Blind
played
buy
for me,
that one.
That's what I was just about to say to you. I'm so interested in buying that movie just outright. I really am.
Especially for 4K because it's a visual film.
Black and
for
white,
the
looks real
50s.
rich.
Oh, dude, it does. For the 50s, that is a visual film. There are certain shots in that movie they'll just stay with me.
Yeah.
And how many movies from the 50s can you say that about?
I know. No, that's why.
There's
I'm
one
interested.
scene of a corpse underwater that just it's burned in my brain forever.
Okay.
And dude, Mitchum's killing it in it.
Yeah.
It's
Robert
great.
Mitchum, yeah.
Great. Fun.
Okay.
It's such a cool premise too. How like
Oh yeah, I've read that. The
the
premise is so
kids
cool.
know what's up, but the whole town is falling under this dude's spell.
Yeah.
He's posing as a preacher, but he's really there to just rob the family.
Yeah.
Rob a widow. And they're
of her money. Yeah.
Dude, it's awesome. It's such
Wow.
a cool movie.
Well, it's done. There's no release date. It just has been announced, like late 2022. It'll be coming out.
I'll be upgrading that one.
Yeah, and then you've got a pair of steelbook releases for Lawrence of Arabia and The Bridge over the River Kwai. Now, I mean, I've never seen these movies. I know they're, classics, so to speak, and there's a big following for these, waiting for these movies to come out. And these came out in those Columbia classic box sets a little while ago, but now they're coming back out in these steelbooks, which I happen to think look ugly. And I don't think I don't know what's wrong with like the traditional art that both of these originally came in, but I don't think that looks very appealing to me at all.
I've
It's
seen
ugly.
neither, but at least I know on Bridge of the River Kwai, that was like a very iconic, the way they blew up the bridge.
Yeah,
so I
right.
guess that on the cover
Right.
makes sense.
I
Trying
guess.
to sell it. Kind of like what you were saying about Alf. They're trying to sell this to a new generation. Now, I agree, not as important.
Not as important
But
as
that's
Alf.
what they're doing with these titles, man.
Yes. Alf trying to
Just
get
throw Bridge on the River Kwai on Netflix. Did you see how they referenced Rear Window? I don't even think Rear Window was out yet, but God,
Alf
there's no laugh track in these movies either.
Alf trying to eat the Tanner's cat was like represented the struggle I had as a child as well, trying to just get by as a kid. I really, reflected on that and really understood Alf and his struggles to eat the family cat. What about Beverly Hills Cop 2 and its 35th anniversary 4K?
Why is this getting it?
Did you pick up 1?
1 came out?
We did. We covered it.
We did?
Yeah, like last year.
When did that
or a while ago.
Nah, I didn't pick it up.
Now you're just waiting for the box set.
Did I? No.
Did you?
I'm not waiting for the box set.
No.
Did I pick up Beverly Hills Cop? I don't remember. I must not have.
Okay.
I must have forgotten about it.
Well, Beverly Hills Cop 2 is coming out in 4K.
I picked up the Paramount Presents 48 Hours.
May 17th. Did you get that another 48 hours? Did you get
No, not another 48
Oh, just regular. Just regular ass 48 hours?
Regular ass. You mean the
Regular
one that
ass
didn't
hours?
feature Alf?
Don't forget Alf coming soon. Well, and then one other exciting thing that I saw is...
Well, real quick, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Yes, give it to me.
Not a bad sequel. It's nothing like the original. Tony Scott came in, the action got bumped up to like
Needed it to
ludicrous
be there.
levels. Yeah. The first one is very grounded. Even the action in the first movie feels plausible and realistic. It's not Schwarzenegger. It's not Stallone.
Yeah.
This felt more like, oh, these are explosions and and even Axel Foley, Eddie Murphy was feeling himself by this point.
Okay.
And I think the character of Axel Foley in this, not mean, but like, it's a little more, it's a more abrasive version of the first one. Not as clever. The story isn't as smart.
Gotcha.
And it features what's her name in it too, who disturbs me.
Judge Reinhold.
No, he's a national treasure.
I love him.
I do too.
I just watched Vice Versa 2 days ago.
Watch Beverly. You love Judge Ryan. Watch Beverly Hills Cop, man.
It was with my son.
Billy. You gotta watch Billy, dude.
Yeah.
Taggart and dude, you gotta watch. He's great in that movie. And he's probably great in this too, if I remembered it. I didn't watch it as much as I did the other one. Actually, I even watched 3 more than this one, and 3's worse. But what was I saying? No, who's the man? She skeeves me out. The short-haired blonde Amazon. She was with Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, Brigitte Nielsen?
Yeah, she's in Beverly Hills Cop 2, which no.
Well, on that note,
no, I won't be picking this up.
I won't be picking
Not
that up.
Terrible. And if you're a fan, this is the quintessential sequel, 80s sequel, where it kind of like another 48 Hours, I'd imagine, where it's just, it's got the stuff you love, but it's not there. It's not there. Like
comes with a digital code.
Oh, I'll be picking
Answer
this
the
up.
call.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever heard of a movie called The Man Who Shot Liberty Vance with James Stewart? I'd never heard of it. I saw that it was coming out in 4K.
I know it's a Western.
It is. And I saw it was coming out in 4K, and I saw it was coming out from Paramount. When I clicked on it, I saw that it had the same box and everything as the Paramount Presents line. And I was like, interesting. So I dug a little closer, and it turns out this movie is the first Paramount Presents 4K release. So I don't give a shit about this movie, but the fact that they're now putting out 4K titles, I think is pretty cool because we really like that.
The same packaging?
Exact same
that
everything.
is really cool.
Exact same packaging.
Great.
Look,
So now I have to rebuy 48 Hours in a year.
Yes, you do. I
and
forgot.
Mommy Dearest.
You do. They're going to start churning those out. Dude, the day that they start cash grabbing,
I'm done.
I'll be
I'm done with this channel. I'm done with all of this. I need a new hobby.
I don't need the cash grab. But no, I thought that was pretty cool. And then in the last,
No, it is.
In the last 30 seconds of our broadcast, I wanted to give a shout out to Heavenly Kid, another movie that's going to be coming out that I loved as a child.
I thought that was a subscriber who left a good comment.
No, no, it's not.
Kid?
Maybe there is one. It starred Jason Gedrick.
Who the fuck is that?
It's like one of those like cheesy ass like 80s movies that, is just like one that was on TV all the time that I had completely forgot about until I saw that like Scorpion releasing or something is putting it out. And it's got like Jane Kasmerick and that dude that's like,
I do know that name.
yeah, what's that one guy's name that's like the
I remember that cover.
Yeah, in the Twisted Sister video, the guy that comes in, he's like, "Hello, students." That guy, he's like a main
I know
character
who
in
you're
this
talking
too.
about.
Yeah,
I don't know his name.
Mr. Sister. He was also a bad guy in One Crazy Summer. Well, he's in this, not as a bad guy actually, but he's like one of the main characters. Yeah, this dude like dies in like a car race.
I remember that cover on
comes
VHS.
back to be his like guardian angel or whatever, because he's kind of like going down a wrong path. I don't know. I always liked this movie a lot and couldn't believe that Scorpion Releasing was putting this out. I'm not going to buy this, but I just wanted to give it a shout out for my childhood.
Fair enough.
So that's all, Russ. That's about everything. I think we covered everything that was of any value lately. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. If anybody's out there watching, let us know. Is there anything else that you saw, Russ, that you were interested in?
Lost Highway in 4K was a
That is true. I forgot.
notable release.
Lost Highway in 4K was
kind
just
of
announced
lesser
today.
Yeah, lesser David Lynch, but worth a mention.
No details, just that Janus Films is the one that's going to be putting it out. And there's nothing about it, just that they're putting out a 4K version of it.
Wait, they're putting it out?
Yeah, I have no idea if Criterion or anyone else has ever put this out.
Why are they're like a classic European, what the fuck do they have to do with Lost Highway?
They're grabbing it and they're doing the restoration too, I think. So
That's
look out.
interesting.
How about that?
I don't think I've ever seen, I didn't even know how to pronounce it.
Is it Janus?
Janus? Whatever it is, I've only seen it before like French films.
Yeah.
From like the 50s and
They
60s.
tweeted out that like, hey, we're putting this out in like June 24th.
Robert Blake got to eat.
You got to eat. Is he still alive?
I think he died in prison.
Well, he's definitely got to eat then. Yeah. Wow. When there's more like news on it or some packaging or some information, maybe we can come back and do a thorough dissection of Lost Highway.
Dude, maybe they got an interview with notable rapist Marilyn Manson, because he made an appearance in that film.
He was in that movie, and he did some soundtrack selections also, if I recall.
Apple of Sodom.
Apple of Sodom. Looks like maybe
Apple
that was a
of
wink.
Sodom.
Maybe that was like a wink to some happenings. I heard Alf is a big David Lynch fan.
No, you had that backwards. David Lynch is a big Alf fan. There'd be no Mulholland Drive without Alf. You know this. Come on, dude. Don't bullshit our audience.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll
Thank
see you next week.